And sometimes it's not a mirage at all. Sometimes the palm tree and the sand and the ocean and the hottie with a Mai Tai are real. Texas Longhorn football fans, welcome to week 2 paradise. You're going to beat Michigan for sure. We're just trying to figure out the final score once again at about the 2-minute warning. It's so definitive. We just jumped on a little before the 2-minute warning, and Texas is leading Michigan 31-6. And it's also one of those games where maybe you could say it's even worse than the score would indicate. Let's get into it. The chat is fired up. That's Jeff Ketchum. I'm Chad Hastings. It is the Orange Bloods Live postgame show brought to you by the Lowy Law Firm. Anwar Richardson coming up live from the Big House. Jason Sukamel will join us as well. Mr. Ketchum, good afternoon, sir. Texas in firm control of this one. What have you thought so far of 31-6?
An absolute dominant performance by this Texas Longhorns football team. It is a statement-making win in the sense that the rest of the college football world will now look, eventually we'll have a playoff, but for the next few months, style points will matter. This was a game with a lot of style points. Texas goes into the Big House, a place where Michigan never loses. And I think they delivered the best road game performance these eyes have ever seen a Texas Longhorn football team deliver, to go on the road at the defending national champions, a top 10 team coming into this game, and to run ruled them by halftime is quite incredible. And all you can do is tip your cap to Steve Sarkisian, this entire team. They got it right at every level, at every position, in every matchup that they had to win on every level. They were emphatically better than Michigan. Send your super chats, drink away. The Texas Longhorns are the toast of college football today.
No doubt about it. By the way, for all the people chatting in, where's Chad? Where's Chad at? Right here. Where else did you think I was going to be? ZOV says complete dominance, Chad. Told you. Listen. There's an O, Chad, in big capital letters. And then where's the other one? Just to make sure. No. Where was it? Somebody gave me the Chad was wrong. Okay. All right. There you go.
Are we going to do this thing where Chad predicted Texas to win the game, and we're just going to bash him over the head with bricks because he didn't? There you go. He didn't think it was going to be one-sided domination.
The Chad was wrong.
Chad,
yes.
Welcome to my world. This is the world that I routinely live in.
What I should have said was Texas 24 at the half. Y'all didn't hear me. You didn't let me finish. Jamie, you're absolutely right that I was wrong about the margin. I did pick Texas to win, and I did not think it was going to be this kind of cakewalk. So you're absolutely right. Whatever you need to do to add to your excitement today, you do it. $2 super chat from Jareth. Natty or bust? Baby, you certainly get to have a natty discussion. Not that you weren't already, Catch, but number 3 team in the country, coming on the road, looking like they look. Shout out to you and Anwar, who both predicted a 34. Anwar predicted a 31, so he's right on it. You guys were both at 16 for the opponent. That might be the craziest part of this, Catch. The last time a team like this went to Ann Arbor, we talked about the margin. It was 51-31. Michigan scored 31 in 1991 against the best team in the country, Florida State. It looks like Michigan may be about to score here at the very, very end of this game.
I think that's a touchdown. They're not going to give it, I don't think, but
so you guys are going to end up damn close. You and Anwar are about to end up real damn close on your score predictions.
Well, in the end, I said that Texas would win by 3 scores. They're going to, assuming that Michigan punches this in and gets a touchdown for a little window dressing, it won't quite be the style. I thought this game would be Texas goes ahead, but it's a game that, I really thought Texas would be up by 10-ish for a lot of this game. I expected them to come out in the first quarter, deliver a performance. We know how good Sark is with the opening script. Ironically, I predicted it, I think in my game prediction on Orange Bloods, that a late Ryan Wingo touchdown would push it to the 3-score deficit that ultimately I thought it would end at. Not quite. but a lot of it that I got right. And yeah, assuming that Michigan scores here, they kick the extra point, they go for two. At worst, it's going to be 31-14, which means the Texas will won by 17, which is exactly what I predicted.
I was going to say that's a score I know I heard you say earlier in the week. I'm not sure if that's what you ended up with.
It's not where I ended up, but I still said that Texas would win by 17.
You did. You absolutely did.
If I didn't get it exactly right, I can live with close.
No doubt about it. Adam says, "Eat crow, Chad." I'm bringing 2 forks today, Adam. Texas whipping Michigan, and we're just trying to figure out a final score. Get those super chats in; they'll go right to the top of the list here. BT, aka Pet Rooster. Okay, $9.99. Would have loved to see the offense not go into dormant mode for the second half.
I don't know that that's even quite how I would describe it. Look, Michigan got a stop early in the third quarter. Give them.
Yeah, it is a touchdown, by the way. Touchdown Michigan here late, so it's 31-12. We'll see if they want to go for two. It really doesn't matter at this point, but I guess you go for two here, Catch?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they're going to go for two.
I probably would kick the extra point because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, right. I mean, who cares at this point?
Because even if you get it, you're down by 3 scores. So, I guess it would be the difference between 17 and 19.
Yeah.
I guess the sheet would say to go for two here, but it really doesn't matter. Michigan doesn't get it. So, assuming that the onside kick is recovered by the Longhorns, they'll take some knees and they're going to win this game 31-12. I don't think anyone nationally is going to punish Texas for a late touchdown. This is going to be remembered as complete domination. Now, look, maybe by the end of the year, I wonder how bad this loss leaves Michigan in the poll. So at the end of the week, are they out of the top 25? And will the nation poo-poo it a little bit? Because although it's number 10 Michigan right now, they won't certainly be top 10 ranked at the end of this game. I think I still think the same thing of Michigan. They're going to be like a 9-3 football team this year. And I felt like, no offense to Michigan coming into this game, that Texas was a superior team. I thought Texas was superior in all of the ways that I expected them to be, right? I mean, Michigan really poor at the quarterback position. I think for my money, this is the best performance of Quinn Ewers' career. It's not the best statistical performance. I think he ends up with a quarterback rating around 160. He was better technically a week ago. Statistically, he would have been better against Alabama, except part of that Alabama game for me was that a couple of NFL starting level wide receivers made big time plays that I don't want to say bailed Quinn out. They kind of share the credit, but I thought the receivers made the plays maybe more so than the quarterback did. Not to nitpick or take credit away from either side. I thought Quinn Ewers was so good today. I thought he did all of the little things you want from a veteran quarterback that we got to super chat a second ago about, you wish Texas had been a little more full throttle on offense. I think part of what the second half in this game was the maturity of Quinn Ewers as an older quarterback, an upperclassman now. He didn't force anything. He didn't come close to making a play that would have given Michigan any kind of momentum in this game. I loved what Quinn Ewers did today. I thought he was absolutely stellar.
And Quinn Ewers is about to get to do something that not many quarterbacks can say they get to do, Catch. Not quite victory formation, but with a little less than 2 minutes to go, he gets to maybe close it out as a quarterback up 3 touchdowns at the big house. They're at midfield to start this drive. So I guess with the way the clocks work, maybe you can't quite go victory formation. Maybe they need a first down, but incredible performance. And Catch, the two things that'll stand out to me, it's obvious, but the rollout in the first drive, man, that 3rd and 13, the 3rd and 7 conversions, it was incredible. Even though they don't get a touchdown on that drive, I mean, they did, but then the penalty. But Quinn's pocket awareness was incredible. The escape out of the pocket to find Gunnar Helm is obviously going to stand out. And then the little front left pylon throw to Matthew Golden, I believe it was, on that touchdown. Catch, that is Vince Young at Lawrence, Kansas to Tony Jeffrey kind of stuff. It's a pass that never gets remembered by Vince, but it's maybe my favorite pass I ever saw him throw. That's a hell of a tough throw. And Quinn made that pass today right on the money. I agree with you. He was great running the offense, knowing when to run, knowing when to everything looked great. Even with a Jaden Blue, little bit of a ding up injury, he comes back and the offense just looked awesome. Quinn looked great today.
Let's knock out some super chats. This is going to be a day where there's a lot of flowers to give to a lot of guys. We'll do it throughout the postgame show. Anwar Richardson will join us from Ann Arbor. Stay tuned. Jason Sukumel will pop in when he gets an opportunity as well. The final seconds are ticking off. I'm at 10, 9, 8. The game is over. Texas wins 31-12. Hit us with some super chats, Chad.
Are we there? You know what? Before we get to some super chats, let's get the official ticker up there, 31-12. It has happened. Let's get to these super chats. Catch, is this you or me? You feeling up to it?
I'm up for it, yes.
Up for it, hit it, go. Super chat, $5. Hooked on the horns, all caps and exclamation points. Catch, hit it.
Yeah! Orange! Yeah! White! Yeah! Longhorns! Fight, fight, fight! Texas fight, Texas fight. Yay, Texas fight. Texas fight, Texas fight. Yay, Texas fight.
That one started as like drunk in a bar guy. That was fantastic. That was excellent. Hooked on the horns.
I wanted you to enjoy it a little bit, Chad.
That was good. That was very good. Make sure you enjoy it tonight, Longhorn fans. We know that you will. Sully, super chat $1.99. Be nice to Chad. Michigan had no quarterback. Sully, I thought they were going to be able to do a little bit better at quarterback. I am so glad I was wrong, and I'm so glad that those filthy cheaters got treated like they needed to today. The super chat from James is a 1999er. We appreciate it, James. $20 is $20 now. I feel like Texas defense still played vanilla. Did it not? Did we underrate our defense before the season and Wisner as a backup running back?
Number one, I don't know that Texas played vanilla. I think we saw some things in the first half that were unique to a week ago. I think that Michigan played vanilla, and that because what Michigan tried to do offensively, you wouldn't call it dynamic. You didn't see 5 wides, 4 wides. I don't remember seeing, they tried to kind of run some basic Michigan offensive stuff with a quarterback that they clearly didn't trust. I don't know that the Texas defense needed to break out the exotics. I think the defense was probably underrated before the season, Chad. This Texas secondary is excellent. They're not good. They're excellent. By the way, Chad, we practice for everything but super chats.
Oh, no.
We had it all worked out and still do technically. I think that the Texas secondary is very quietly a hero in this game. They're involved in 3 turnovers. Michigan wasn't going to beat them with that passing attack, but Texas didn't have a bad day either. So if you're going to test this secondary, the 2024 secondary, you've got to be excellent. Excellent. And Texas didn't lay off. So, I thought this group was fantastic today. I feel like you could point to every single guy and say they got their hands on a turnover or they were involved in a play that led to a turnover. I just thought everybody was really good. I come away from this game feeling the same way I did after a week ago. It's like, man, that group's really good. I think right now it's the showcase positional group, if you will, of what's turning out to be a really good defense. I think everybody would have been a little scared to get too hyped about, when we were talking about like what would this secondary, what would their ranking be, yards per game or all the key passing game stats, and how high did you want to go? And we would say things like, well, if they're in the top 40, this team's going to play for an SEC championship or whatever the case might be. by the way, hello, Jason.
Jason ain't waiting for no intro. Texas just beat Michigan. What's up, Jason Sukumel?
I just think this defensive back group field is really good.
Jason, give us your thoughts.
Thorough ass kicking from top to bottom, from beginning to end. I mean, Texas took its foot off the gas really early in the third quarter. Otherwise, I mean, 31-12 is no way reflective of how dominant this game was. I mean, Texas was clearly the better team. Like Ketch said, the secondary is fantastic. I tell you what, I thought other than some penalties, I thought the offensive line played really well. I thought the Texas defensive line won that matchup. I mean, I think Texas pretty much controlled this thing from top to bottom. We said after last week, Ketch, I was like, hey, I know it's only one game, and I'm always the slow down guy, right? But I was like, last week, I don't know, that game made me feel like pretty confident that this is going to be a really good team. We said, okay, we'll see for sure after this Michigan game. Well, I think we know for sure now this is a championship caliber team. I said, can we just fast forward to the Oklahoma and Georgia games? I just want to get to those games and you see where the chips fall. But yeah, this is a team that's, I expect when the polls come out this week, I think Texas probably gets quite a few first place votes. We'll see what happens with Georgia and some of the other programs around them. But I think Texas deservedly will get quite a few first place votes when the polls are out this week.
We got a lot of. Go ahead.
Sorry.
I was going to say we have a lot of super chats lined up, but go ahead, Catch.
No, I was just going to say, Chad, the first video that we did on Orange Bloods Live this week was the Monday Overreaction Show. It's a video that's turns out to be one of the better videos performance-wise that we've had all year, right? 25,000 views or wherever it's at right now. And in that video, my big hot take on a Monday was this is going to be a blowout. Texas is going to win this game by 3+ scores. And although all week long I thought it would be a closer game than maybe the final score would dictate, I walked away on Monday and I was like, oh man, a lot of people have watched that show, huh? Because if they had, Anwar ended up going so emphatic with Michigan has no chance to win this game that it kind of overshadowed a little bit my big prediction. But man, I had a sense of doom last night where I was like, oh man, the post show is going to suck if Texas loses this game. Like, it'll suck for a million reasons, but it'll be the new It's Austin or the new 85%. They'll throw this in my face forever. So I just want to say, well, we can get into the super chats. I just wanted to say,
you just puff your chest out a little bit. Yeah. Hey, don't take a deep breath.
Exhale.
Yeah, dude. Hey, sense of relief, but you should be strutting around a little bit too, dude.
I got plenty of time for peacocking. Okay. I want to admit that I woke up this morning like, come on, Texas. Like, don't. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've had one of those all-time mistakes that people hold against me forever. Today's not one of them, bitches.
All right, guys, we have 15 super chats lined up. Let's go ahead and we will get to those. See how that super chat works? Perfect. Thank you, James.
Do them in order of most expensive.
190. Oh, well, then we're not doing that. All right, we're not doing that first. Okay, then in that case, most expensive would be this one. This would be Angry Hammer, $50. Thank you, Hammer.
That's what I'm talking about.
With the super chat. That's right. I'm sorry. I forgot the lesson from last week. We will let people cut the line for about a $50 super chat. Here's a round of drinks for you guys and hopefully gets me an OB get out of jail free card from Sukumel.
Hey, here, Angry Hammer, here's what I would say to this. The next time you need a get out of jail card and Sukumel bans you, just say, remember during the Michigan postgame show when I sent the $50 super chat, I hereby grant you a get out of jail card.
Angry Hammer posted in one of my threads on Orange Bloods. I'm looking right now because I posted I'm so frustrated because of my Prize Picks beating, which we can talk about some other time. But he said, I think you need to blast boobs to cleanse the rage.
Yeah. I hereby grant you a get out of jail card.
Thank you, Angry Hammer, for $50 on your super chat. All right, how about a 20 spot yelling at me? $19.99 from Oscar. Chad, they are who we thought they were. Sark has a big-time team right now. Catch, tell Chad how wrong he was. Drinks on me on 6th Street.
Chad, you were wrong.
I was.
Gosh darn it, you.
Oscar, thank you for that $19.99. I'm not sure where you heard me say last week that Sark didn't have a big-time team. But, again, whatever you need to make you feel better.
Again, Chad's not getting beaten up because he picked Michigan to win. He's getting beaten up today because he didn't pick Texas to win by enough points.
That's it. That's how you know you're dealing. That's how you know you're dealing with a big-time team, boys. Here we go. Paul with a $19.99 super chat. Great win. I think Helm might break some tight end records this season. Makuba's the best safety since Earl. Quinn continues to grow and makes throws that have scouts watching. 3 different breakdowns from Paul. Thank you, Paul.
My dude Paul out in Arizona, a buddy of mine. But, yeah, I don't disagree with any of it, Paul. I'd say Gunnar Helm has been a real pleasant surprise, right? I mean, he's obviously pretty good last week, but what he did this week, I mean, everybody thought with Jatavion Sanders going pro, there might be a decent drop-off at tight end. I'm not seeing it, man. I mean, is Gunnar Helm catch? Am I crazy? Is he on the same level as JT Sanders? It looks like it to me.
They're different. And it may end up being that the production ends up pretty similar, right? So then you get into –
He's made Niblack a non-factor. I mean –
Juan Davis has made Niblack a non-factor. They actually, maybe it got called back because of a penalty because I don't remember seeing it in the stat book, but they threw to Juan Davis early in the first half.
Niblack's only contribution was the hold that negated the Jonte Cook pass. It cost me $500. Don't get me started. But,
Jason,
everybody that plays Prize Picks knows that we got stuck on 246 yards. It cost me a little bit of money as well. So
it might cost me $1,000 by the time the day's over because I've got another
Thankfully, Jaden Blue came back into the game. That's what I really needed was for Blue to come true on his 17.5 receiving yards. In the end, he blew that away. When he came back into the second quarter and made that dude just slide all over the field in space, it was a great play. I don't think that Andrew Makuba is the best safety since Earl Thomas. I think he was excellent today. And I think today's the kind of game that's been missing from Makuba's resume that I'll be honest, I don't think if he'd been performing like today at Clemson, because when he made that interception, I was like, okay, Andrew Makuba with a big play. That's not really what he'll be remembered for being at Clemson. He was a good player, but never a great player. He was a great player today. And if he puts together 10 more games remotely like that, then I might apologize to you, Paul, and say I don't think he's the best since Earl. I think there are guys who were better than Andrew Makuba. One performance so far today, but the rest of that, I thought Quinn I thought Quinn. This was such a mature quarterback performance. If you were an NFL scout, Quinn used to be 2 years ago, I had sources who questioned whether or not Quinn, could read at a 12th grade level. Like there were like some intellectual questions about him. He was so smart today. He was such an extension of Sarkisian. At times he threw balls into the ground where it was like, okay, I'm just, it was the kind of thing you'd see a Tom Brady make where it's like, sometimes the give ups are so obvious that, it's like, God, that almost shouldn't count against their passing numbers. They literally were trying just to end the play. I thought he did it. There's a couple of plays inside the red zone today where Jaden Blue went the wrong way. Happened twice. And in a game that they win going away, nobody will remember it. But I bet Sarkisian pulls him aside at some point and is like, just go the right way. And what happens? Quinn doesn't expose himself. It's not a play that ends up thwarting what Texas was trying to do. Like, it was just such a commanding, smart, adult performance by Quinn Ewers. And as a guy who has nitpicked him when he's been average and said he can be better, there are levels that he still needs to reach. I don't know what his real level is right now, but he was excellent today. Again, I think it's as good as I've ever seen Quinn play. He never once had Texas in danger. In fact, he kind of specialized in keeping Texas out of danger all day. But then there were just enough NFL throws where you were like, whoa, okay, yeah, he can still do that. I just, today's a day where, if I was giving out helmet stickers, Quinn Ewers absolutely gets one.
His passer rating was 151.6. That doesn't tell the story of how good he was.
Exactly.
You mentioned a couple throwaways there. I mean, the yardage totals weren't huge, but clean, efficient, no mistakes. I can't think of one where he was even remotely close to making.
There wasn't one play where it was like, oh, man, Michigan.
Yeah.
I asked Chad, Jason, a question yesterday where I said, look, Michigan's corners are kind of famous now for jumping routes. And I was like, will we see a play that either goes for a touchdown? Either way, either it's a pick six or they pump fake a guy and beat them that way. And Chad bought it. And I kind of thought so too. I thought we're going to see an aggressive Michigan defense come close. They never did.
They jumped the one where he and Bond weren't on the same page, but that was more because Bond, one of them was on the wrong read.
I'm going to blame Bond on that one because he literally didn't look like he knew what the hell was going on.
And even that one wasn't. It's not like that was close to getting picked off or anything. But you're right. They tried to. That was the only time I remember. I'm sure there's others if we watch the film, but that's the only time I can really remember them trying to jump an out route like that. But yeah, it's just a very clean. You said mature. Just really a brilliant performance by Quinn against a tough defense in a tough environment too. Yeah.
One more thing I was wrong about this week. Be patient with us if you've sent us a super chat. There are 17 of them lined up right now.
Come on, rapid fire. We'll knock some out.
We're up over 2,100 folks in the Specs chat. We appreciate you being there. All right, let's get to a higher amount, as Catch says. Oscar with a 19.99. Like I said, it's been a long time since fans could feel this way about a Texas team. Never. Tell us how we should feel again, Chad. P.S. You're great, Chad. Interesting. And I always love your content. Please read this in a Lou Holtz. Oh, wait, now I got to go back. Hang on.
You got to lead with the Lou Holtz part. Yeah.
You got to lead with it, Oscar. 1999 from Oscar. Like I said, it's been a long time since fans should feel this way about a Texas team. Never tell us how we should feel again, Chad. P.S. You're great, Chad. I always love your content. Plus, read this in the Lou Holtz voice. There you go, Oscar. Thank you. All right. Yes, it has been a long time since Texas fans maybe could feel the way they are feeling today. This is also a 20 spot. 1999 from Darkborg. This Michigan team isn't as good as 04. This Texas team is better than 04. I told you, Chad. Logic dictated a single outcome. Hook 'em.
It's not a good Michigan team. Listen, I'm not taking anything away from what Texas did.
It never popped up on the screen.
Oh, it's on my screen. I'm sorry.
You don't see it? It's on mine. Yeah, I see it.
Okay, well then never mind. I don't. Yeah. I don't need to see it, Chad.
I'm not taking away from
again. How about now?
What Texas did? Yeah, I see it again. I'm not taking away from what Texas did because this was an incredible performance. But this feels like a Michigan team is going to be middle of the pack, Big Ten to me. I mean, their quarterback play is just so bad. They're just, I wouldn't even say one-dimensional because they're not even great at running the football. But Michigan is not as good as 04. I can't read. Is it Darkborg? I agree with Darkborg there. Texas team better than 04? Probably. It remains to be seen. But, yeah, I think I'd probably agree with that. So, looking back at it, I did the matchups, and I had Texas winning by 12 points. And I even said in my prediction, my head tells me Texas is going to blow this game out. But my matchups say it's going to be a little closer. So I predicted a little bit closer. In hindsight, I should have just gone with what my head was telling me because based on what I saw from Texas last week, Michigan last week, obviously what we saw today, those teams weren't even close to being on the same level.
Yeah. Super chatters, get out of the way. Somebody's cutting the line. And it's Money B from Italy. $50.
Oh, wow. Money B. Right.
Money B. Hope you're enjoying Italy. Hook 'em. What surprised you the most about the game?
For me, it was the way Texas controlled the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. I thought Texas dominated their offensive line. I actually gave Michigan the edge with their defensive line. And I mean, Texas completely negated both those defensive tackles. I think at halftime, they had a combined 2 tackles. Graham finished with 3 tackles. I don't think Grant had 1 tackle. So, I mean, Texas
Jason,
completely.
if you didn't know who those guys were before the game,
wouldn't even been on my
you
radar.
watched today's game, you have no idea that Michigan has great players on that defensive line. They legitimately do. And Texas legitimately kicked their backsides today.
Yeah.
And I thought DJ Campbell, to my naked eyes, I thought DJ Campbell had one of the best games I've seen him have. People will remember, I think, DJ Campbell moving forward from this game as the guy that got the penalty defending.
Hey, good for him, by the way. Yeah, I liked seeing those offensive linemen defend Quinn like that.
So. Well, it was a cheap shot. I was
it was
that it wasn't called.
There were a lot of the refs did not do Texas any favor. Not that Texas needed it, but I mean, pass interferences and those calls and reviewing that stupid targeting, which ended up not being targeting, of course. But the refs were not on Texas's side on this one for sure. So,
but I there were a couple of times in the run game when they would show a replay of a play, and I would notice 52 just on somebody. And there was some thought that last week Cole Hudson was as good as he was. There's been some talk that, in the end, he ended up playing more snaps than Hudson did last week, but Hudson kind of cut into his playing time. I didn't notice that today. It felt like DJ Campbell stayed in the game. I'll be curious to see what it looks like when Alex does the grades, because who knows? Maybe it didn't quite show up.
Well, and then they were playing so many backups too, probably in the second half, so that might skew things a little bit.
But I thought he was really good. I never once, Ewers stepped up into the pocket once, and maybe it took what was officially a sack. Hayden Connor had his guy come off of him when Ewers stepped up into the pocket and was going to take off and run. I think technically it was a no gain, so it may show up.
Yeah, it was not a sack. It wasn't credited as a sack. Yeah.
Okay. Other than that, though, for as much as Michigan, I had a Michigan source tell me on Thursday, Michigan will win the pass rush battle. They're going to get to Quinn Ewers. It's one of the reasons why Michigan wins this game. I don't know if this, in those old days, you're playing on a dirt field and you come off, it's like in baseball, you can tell when a guy's played by, did he slide at any point? He's got dirt. Quinn didn't really have dirt on his uniform today. They kept him very clean. Michigan rarely got to him. That offensive line deserves steaks tonight. Quinn needs to take about $500, and they need to go to whatever steakhouse they want to go to. You got to let the big men eat, man. Let those big men eat, because they earned steaks tonight. I thought the offensive line was sensational.
Money B, I'm with Jason.
He's safe in Italy.
Yeah, what surprised me most was what Jason said, essentially, line of scrimmage. I thought by the end of the game, Texas would clearly be the better team blocking and tackling. I didn't know it was going to start practically in pregame. I didn't realize it was going to be that dominant, that fast. That was the biggest surprise for me. Money B, thank you for $50 on a super chat. I am looking for high amounts, and I'm seeing some. Oscar, $19.99, jumping back in with the super chat. Sorry, Chad. Love you, Chad, but this team is top 3 in the country, and they're not 3. Also, this isn't a Michigan team to be scared of, but Texas did what elite teams do. Hope y'all put these super chats to good use. Alcohol. Thank you, Oscar. That's a good idea. That will be the first consideration, I think, of what to do with the super chats. Let's see. Wait, hold on. We got Money B. That was the 50. I saw the $50 again, and it just kind of freaked me out. This is my favorite super chat so far. Super chat from C. Jenkins. Belt to ass with a hook emoji. Kind of like that. Belt to ass. Yeah, that's one they're not going to enjoy in Ann Arbor tonight. Let's see. What is this? Ishere Jones, $9.99. I appreciate those prize picks, gentlemen.
Hey, we were pretty good this week, Catch, on our prize pick show, I feel like, right?
Some of it really worked out.
I missed on was Ewers' passing yards.
By a half a yard, yep.
And I didn't think that was even remotely possible at halftime. I thought that was going to be – it's the second game in a row that I think he's been above 200 at halftime and then not been able to get over – 246. I don't remember what it was last week, but it wasn't much higher, but he wasn't able to hit quite the threshold. They've really gone into control mode with big second, third quarter leads. And so,
but we said, hey, Gunner, the Jaden Blue play we loved. That
Gunner
hit,
Helm.
we said Gunner Helm. Golden, I hit on. I said I'm fading Bond because I could see them matching up with him. So a game, I mean, in terms of prize picks, actually played out pretty well. The kicker, we both liked. I had the Michigan kicker and the Texas kicker. Yep. So yeah, both those. Yep. So other than Quinn missing it by a half a yard, man, I feel like that was one of our better.
At the end of the day, I played Jaden Blue's 17.5 receiving yards on every play I have. I did some 2 for 2s. I've got that. I've got one where I'm going to win like 200. No, I'm going to win, I don't know, like 120 or something like that, where I use Caleb Williams's gimme on prize picks, the 0.5 passing yards or whatever it is. So now I'm just in need of that. No, Jaden Blue is very good to me. Thank you, young man, for he really wanted to come back into the game badly. He did. He took care of us in a good way.
And I hope for anybody else that was at the Silas Bolden, the committee meeting, I hope nobody else went with Silas Bolden scoring a touchdown.
I tried to tell. One of the things that comes out of this game, Chad, we know that Isaiah Bond and Matthew Golden are the top 2 wide receivers on this team.
No doubt.
And
no doubt.
I thought that the rotation would get really small today. It was even smaller than I thought. When it comes to passing game targets, there were only 5 guys that got targets today.
Well, Bolden did have one, right? The deep ball. Am I crazy? Didn't he have a deep ball thrown to him?
Bolden had 6 targets. He finishes 6 for 41.
No, Golden. I'm saying Bolden.
Oh, you're right. It's not listed in the stat book.
But I think he had one target.
He did have a target. I wonder if that got wiped away because of the penalty. I don't know, but he did have one target. But
that's his only target in the first 2 games, right?
No, he had one last week too.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, but you look at Gunnar Helm had 7, Jaden Blue had 7, Golden had 6, Bond had 6, Wisner had 6. You're right, Jason. Bolden did have the one later in the game that didn't count, and Cook had one later in the game that obviously got wiped out because of penalty. But when the game was on the line, their 2 guys are Matthew Golden and Isaiah Bond, and that's kind of it right now. And
Helm and the running backs. I mean, the running backs. Would you say Jaden had 7 targets and Wisner 6? I mean,
yep.
They're really featuring the running backs and obviously Gunnar Helm in that passing game too. So.
All right, I'm just trying to keep track of all these super chats that are coming in. There are a ton of them that are piling up here. So thank you to everybody who's
super chatting, guys. We'll get to them.
Yes, we are getting there. We are getting there. We've gotten some like this. Thank you so much, Jamie, for $9.99. Just a big, here it is. We're back! Exclamation point. You think anybody will be upset at the Texas is back discussion today, boys?
No, I don't think there's no doubt about it. Texas is officially back with this program and certainly this year's team for sure.
Hey, Chad, real quick.
Yes, sir.
Just because poor Steven spent $4.99 and then didn't include any comments, I just want Steven. I try to put it up there. Is Restream just being weird?
I see it.
Yeah,
okay. We see it.
Okay. Steven, thank you. Whatever it was that you were trying to get across.
Yes, if you need to add an extra message, we'll try to get it in there. But thank you for $4.99. We appreciate you there. Let's see. How about Oscar? Says it's the last one. You know what, Oscar? If you want to super chat,
State just missed. Arkansas missed a field goal in overtime. Oklahoma State missed a field goal in overtime. So they're going to double overtime. So.
That's amazing that game went to overtime. Arkansas was killing them early. That is unbelievable.
Pretty short field goals, too, at the end of overtime. So sorry, I know that's not what we're here to talk about. But yeah.
No, it's weird. That's a weird Arkansas team, man. And Oklahoma State, for that matter. $9.99 from Oscar. Last one, I promise. But what's the biggest takeaway from this game for this team specifically? Jason?
For me, I don't see a weakness in this team. I mean, there's not an area of this team that I think is even average. I mean, it's good across the board. I mean, we haven't seen a lot from the special teams yet. I mean, Burt missed a field goal today. The Michael Kearns only punted, I think, once in each of the first 2 games, maybe. So we're still a little bit unknown there. But my biggest takeaway is that I can't find any area of this team through 2 weeks where they're even average. Everything is either good or great. I just think this is a damn good football team, man.
That's the takeaway, Chad, is that this is a nationally elite team. Doesn't mean that they'll win every game this season, right? I mean, we know how we know what kind of sport that we watch. But, hey, man, you better bring your big boy pants in a 60-minute game against this Texas team. They're not to be lightly trifled with, or you can have what happened to Michigan today. You know, the scariest games on this schedule are the road games. It's Georgia, kind of the exception, and obviously Oklahoma. But you think about, well, where might they trip up if not the obvious? You look at those road games against Arkansas or A&M, and it's like the Texas that showed up today shows up in those games that focused, that dialed in, playing that well. They will win all of those games. So I think that's the big takeaway. It will take quite a performance to knock this Texas team off, and consequently, it might take the opposite from Texas. There weren't mistakes baked into today's game, and this is what it looked like. And if this game was going to play close, Michigan was going to need Texas to make some big mistakes. Texas made none, and they outclassed Michigan by a mile, a country mile at that.
31-12 could have been 50-12, if we're being honest. I mean, I don't think this score, the 31-12, I said, is not at all reflective of how dominant and how good Texas played today.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jason. It's 19, man. That's 3 full touchdowns, but it felt like even more than that. Oscar, thank you for that super chat. We'll keep it right around. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I feel bad that somebody would have sent this twice. So let's see if maybe we can do this twice. All right, let's see. Hooked on the Horn, super chat, $10. Chad, what type of post-game speech would Lou Holtz give our boys after a dominant performance on the road today? You know what, gentlemen? As somebody who coached God's team, I can certainly appreciate a win against Michigan. You kicked those Wolverines' ass. Let's go watch them burn Ann Arbor. There you go. Thank you. Thank you for that. And since somehow it came through twice, Hooked on the Horn, super chat, $10. Chad, what type of post-game speech would Lou Holtz give our boys for this dominant performance on the road? I tell you what, gentlemen, as somebody who used to coach the Arkansas Razorbacks and the South Carolina Gamecocks, that's a damn good SEC performance, and you stuck it up their Big Ten asses. Now let's go watch them burn Ann Arbor. All right. There you have it. Thank you for sliding that in twice. We appreciate you. Here's $20. Now, just sitting at the bottom of the super chats. I'm sorry, Lewis. $20 super chat. Love the work you guys do. Probably sent that in before the Lou Holtz. But thank you. Thank you, Lewis. I appreciate that. All right. We got, let's see, what else? Looking for big numbers. Big numbers, no whammies. Super chat, $10. I wonder if the vaulted Michigan defense might want some pointers. Vaulted from Texas after the – Catch, you tell me to read what's there, so I'm reading what's there. The vaulted Michigan defense wants some pointers from Texas after the game. You guys mentioned how the Michigan – the interior of that defense, kind of invisible at times during this game. The Texas defense, that's another one of those parts, guys, that for Texas's sake, I was certainly hoping we'd see it show up throughout the game. I did think Michigan was going to be able to find a little more running attack at times. Man, Texas shut it down.
Yeah, I thought the defensive line, the interior of the defensive line, look at their stats, but they were active. I thought they played well. Just a really tremendous performance. Like I said, that was one of my biggest surprises, the way Texas, I thought, controlled both lines of scrimmage. But
they held to 80 yards, 80 total yards rushing.
Oh, 80 yards rushing. Yeah.
80 yards
on 23 attempts too. And, and it looked like that Michigan defense, like even in the first half, like in the second quarter, Texas just kind of broke their will. Like I said it on our Slack, our team's chat thing. I was like, I'm calling time of death at like whatever it was in the second quarter. Time of death for Michigan, because just their will looked broken when Texas went up by, was it 17-3, I believe. I said, this game's over. Michigan's not going to score enough points to catch up. So, I think Texas, like I said, I think they just kind of imposed their will and they broke Michigan's will of that Michigan defense.
Yeah.
Chad, that may be the most we may come out of this game into future games, and the thing that we won't talk enough about is the quality of the Texas defense. There will be so much talk about Quinn, I think, in this game. The next time there's a big game, the next big game on this schedule is Oklahoma. I mean,
yeah.
With all due respect to Mississippi State, whatever. When we go into that game, I think we've got to bank into. I didn't have Michigan scoring a lot of points in this game, and I thought a lot of that had to do with just a lack of overall quality on that side of the ball. But this Texas defense is playing well. They missed a couple of tackles in the third quarter, and it was like, oh, hadn't seen those today. And then they nipped that in the bud. They're just much more sound fundamentally and kind of as a base unit. They still haven't really done a lot flashy, with all due respect to the turnovers that were created. They won the line of scrimmage today, but they didn't do it in a flashy way. It's just you looked up at the end of the game and Michigan didn't do anything. It was like, okay, well, they won that battle. They didn't let them get off in the running game. They did a great job on third downs. Michigan didn't always have third and long. They had a lot of third and mediums, and Texas seemed to have an answer for all of those third and threes, third and fours, third and fives, third and sixes. They just did all of the little things right. That's 2 games in a row that they've done that, and I think we probably got to start putting a little bit of respect on that defense's name. They're better than we thought they were. How good are they? We'll learn in future matchups against better teams than Michigan, but they've been really good through the first couple of games.
Vivek in the chat, Chad, brings up a good point. Bit average on pass rush. I said in my post-game write-up, I said, if I have to pick one thing to critique, it would be their pass rush. I mean, Colin Simmons got that sack in the fourth quarter, and they didn't have any sacks in the first game. So it took them damn near 2 full games to get their first sack of the season. So again, if I had to nitpick one area, that would be the one area I'd like to see more. The defensive line played well. We said it; they controlled the run game, but maybe I'd like to see a little bit more activity from that group and the edge guys in terms of pressure in the passer.
Thank you, Chris, for that super chat. 15 of them are lined up, if I am counting correctly. Let's see what the next one is. How about this one? $9.99 from John. Chad, keep them bum-ass Aggie training wheels off this Texas team. Sark could have named the score today. And a hook 'em emoji. John, I will try to do that.
Hey, real quick, Chad, we got a final in Stillwater. Oklahoma State wins 39-31 after being down 21-7 at halftime. They win this game in double overtime, 39-31.
Fourth and one. They just stopped Arkansas on 4th and 1 to win the game. Wow.
That is wild. That is so crazy. It looked like Arkansas was ready to just take off, but then they got a little sloppy and Oklahoma State woke up. So that's a crazy ass game. This is it's a $9.99 I missed earlier. James, thank you for that super chat. Great win, men. 2 nitpicks. D-line got to get home more. Jason was just talking about that. Need Sark more aggressive in second half. Game ball to Makuba and DJ Campbell for picking up Quinn on that late hit. Thank you.
I agree with him. And listen, I want Sark to be more aggressive for prize picks reasons. Okay. But take that aside. I do. And it seems weird to be critical after the way they played, but I would have liked to have seen them be a little more aggressive, in that second half. Just really pour it on, 31-12 looks good. But again, I think they could have probably put up another touchdown or 2 pretty easily. The game was never in doubt. So I understand why Sark kind of took his foot off the gas, but I'm kind of with James there. I would have liked to see a little bit more aggressive play calling on offense in the second half.
Catch, what'd you think?
I didn't have the same issue. I mean, at some, you got to remember, until that late touchdown, it was a full-on throttling. What was it, 31-3 or 31-6? It just, I was okay with the approach in the second half. If Michigan, it's one of those almost like gentleman's handshake deals. Michigan wasn't going full throttle.
You're right.
It was almost as if the coaches met up at midfield at halftime And Jerome Moore said, look, run the clock. Let's just run it. And we won't, you're not going to see any like triple reverses. We're not going to do anything crazy. You guys don't blitz. Let's just get this thing over with and go home. And we get it that we've gotten our asses kicked, and we don't want 60 put up with on us. And Sark was like, you know what? We've got to play them in a couple of years again in our place. So let's be gentlemanly about it. And it was like everybody just kind of went about their business, and they ran out the string there in the third and fourth quarters. You know, that will be how they coached them this week, right? They will have hammered home, we're not going to make mistakes. We're not going to beat us. And so I think I bet they'll look back on it and think that they were even maybe a little stubborn on that. They may agree with you a little bit, Jason, that, you know what, we probably could have done a little bit more and it wouldn't have been us endangering ourselves. But I think that there's a point that they would want to have proved internally, which is we can go on the road against a team like that where people will doubt us, and we'll show them how we will very businesslike choke them out, and the game will just be over. And for all of they weren't aggressive in the second half, the game was over at halftime. And the only way that changes is if Texas does something to open a door for Michigan to walk through it. And that's just not what happened. So while I totally understand what everybody who would like to have seen a little bit more of foot on the gas, a little more all gas, no breaks in the second half, that was very almost Saban ball, if you will, where it's like, I know you want some candy, but you've already had 3 pieces. You won't sleep well tonight. If you do, go to bed. That's kind of what that game felt like to me.
Maybe Sharon Moore cried and asked for 10-minute quarters. Maybe that's what happened at halftime. That could have happened as well.
I've been a part of some of those games. When they're taking place. They knew. Michigan knew. Did you see there were pictures being taken by Texas reporters? I think Bob Ballou had one of Michigan fans who were doing the hook 'em at the end of the game. Like, Texas, I think converted some fans.
They were just being Midwest ornery by the end of it. It was so bad. They were just like, whatever. Hook 'em horn, sure.
Hey, guys, real quick. Notre Dame losing to Northern Illinois late in the first half, 10-7.
Is that right?
At Notre Dame, yeah.
Boy, see, now that's a game, Jason. When I saw 28 points, I said it all summer. I said it last week. I said it this week. The winner and loser in College Station last week. Winner was going to get way overcooked. Loser was going to get way undercooked. Notre Dame is not the 5th best team in the country, and I certainly didn't think they needed a 4-touchdown line. So I'm interested to see how that one ends.
It's going to end up being a 29-point victory, and you're going to be
right. Like, can they stand up and be 4 touchdowns or more better? We'll see. Well,
Northern Illinois traditionally is a pretty good program, right?
Yeah, and they're not bad either. Right. It's like, we'll see. We'll see how that one ends up. Real quick, James with the 199 super chat. I think this is the first one that rolled in. That Bama tight end doesn't get any run. Helm is the true tight end number 1. Well, there's no doubt about that right now, fellas.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, he's almost made Nyblack let's say a non-factor, but I mean, really, I don't remember Nyblack coming in until he had that hole.
He's been a non-factor.
Yeah, it's surprising. Yeah,
and
Gunnar Helm is playing his way into. Sorry, Catch.
I was going to say, and nothing's happened in the 2 games so far that will change that dynamic. Gunnar Helm looks like a guy that might be competing for All-America honors at the end of the season in a year where there's no, Blake Bowers to, thwart anyone's run at a national award or All-America honors. I think Gunnar Helm is right there. I mean, today was a statement performance for him. He looked like a future Sunday player to me.
Took the words out of my mouth. So what a senior tight end. I mean, he's playing his way into an NFL, maybe a fairly high draft pick, even if he keeps playing the way he's playing.
Yeah.
So.
And Catch, I gave you a buy or sell this week on the 12 o'clock show about him having the most yards for the team as far as receiving. He had that and the catches at 7 and tied for touchdowns because it was 1 touchdown down the board. But, man, Helm with a hell of a day for Texas today. James, thank you for that super chat. Let me see. How about this one? Oscar just couldn't stay away. That's why we love you, Oscar. It's okay. You don't need to say your last one. It's all right. $9.99. Okay, I lied. Chad, what are your thoughts? You thought we were dumb for thinking we're so much better. I'm not sure if that's the way to say it, Oscar. I was perfectly comfortable with how good I thought Texas was. I did think Michigan was going to provide a little more resistance in the game. And it was just that eyeball test and everything. I know sometimes that can fail when it comes back the next week, but this one really did play out like we all saw last week. Texas was that much better, and Michigan really did have those issues, and it laid out like we kind of saw it in week one. So you guys were absolutely right, Oscar, and I was absolutely wrong, and I'm so glad to say that I was, because they're filthy cheaters and they deserve to get punished. And nobody is, so at least Texas did. $5 super chat. Refs were definitely on Michigan's side. How do you miss such a blatant late hit? Also, your thumbnail says 32-12, not 31-12. Is that right? We'll have to jump on that. Sorry. Trying to give him an extra point. That wasn't me. That was not me. You know, tell the graphics department. 32-12 maybe. Okay. Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, guys, did you send, other than, I mean, I guess that play's included, but did you have a sense for the officials like doing some home cooking, Jason?
I thought that was a bad call. I thought the non-pass interference on, I think it was Wisner. You know, I didn't go back and look at it, but when Cam Williams had the holding call, and it was negated the touchdown, the first drive, I believe. Yeah, and then they ended up missing the field goal. And maybe it's just Texas fans, but everybody on Orange Bowl was like, that was a horrible call. Like, I didn't have time to go back and rewatch that hold, so I don't know. But I don't remember any calls that I thought, okay, Texas got a little favorable call there. I do remember a couple calls where Michigan definitely got some favorable calls. And I say that, Chad, I like to pride myself on being the most objective person. When there's never a game in the 20-something year history of Orange Bloods where Texas fans don't think they get screwed. And I'm always like, okay, the officiating is not that bad, guys. I mean, they're going to be missed calls every game. But, yeah, I definitely thought there were some calls in Michigan's favor, way more so than Texas in this game.
Yeah, and great to, it's the old saying about you got to play the game catch to a point where you leave that out of their hands, right? The Baltimore Ravens talked about it this week. We got to play a better game so that somebody's toe being out of bounds isn't the deciding factor of a game. Texas played, I mean, you'd have had to change about 10 more calls in this game to get Michigan close.
Yeah, and consequently, I guess I would tell, if you're a Texas fan, and I don't mean to call you out, Ryan, I do appreciate your $5 super chat. Dude, just celebrate. The officials missed a couple of calls. They had no impact on the game. Save the rage. Save your $5. There will be a point later in the season when you're really pissed at the officials. Send us 50 that day. So hold on to the 5. Everybody save their rabble, grumble comments about the officiating. Yeah, they missed on a couple of plays, but I got to be honest with you, until you guys have been brought it up a couple times in the chat, it's number 25 or so on my list of things to comment on from this game.
Yeah, over 2,700 folks in the Specs chat. We appreciate you. South
Hit
End
that
Zone
thumbs up button. There should be no reason why a Texas fan wouldn't hit the like button in a game where they beat the shit out of Michigan. Come on.
How you not liking this one? $1.99. If I send $50 super chat, will Chad sing The Eyes of Texas? South End Zone Queen, if you send 55, I'll sing it as Lou Holtz. How about that? We'll get that done. So yes, absolutely is the answer to your question. Thomas, $10 super chat. Crazy that we won by 19, and it still feels like we left some meat on the bone. This team is good. Guys, as an example, that first drive, it ends with nothing. All those conversions, all that good work from Quinn, catch all that they did, and it ends up being a nothing drive. And at that moment, you kind of had a thought of, okay, what does a completely empty drive do if Michigan gets a decent start in this game? Didn't end up mattering, but just to Thomas's point, there still was meat left on the bone for Texas.
Yeah, no, look, Jason has said this, and I'll echo it. I mean, the final score ends up flattering Michigan a little bit. It did not feel like a 31-12 type game. It felt more like a 42-10 6 game, and Michigan scores late. Kudos to them. Like, I don't mean to begrudge them their points, but Texas eased off, or I think it would have been much more emphatic. Sometimes I feel like it's like watching but like my Phillies last night scored 14 against the Marlins, and by the time you get to the 7th inning, you're like, okay, guys, stop, because we'll need some today. So don't use them all up today. Maybe Texas had that philosophy on offense, like, you know what, we're going to need 50, 60. We're
Myron Charles flipped his commitment to Texas, so I better hop off and make some phone calls, guys.
Go do your thing, Jason. Hey, we said that was imminent in the war room earlier today, like 2 days ago. So, Jason, crazy. Go do some recruiting work.
All right.
We'll have an impromptu before Anwar gets in here. We'll do a quick instant analysis on Myron Charles. Chad, that's a guy that Texas has felt like for about the last 4 to 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like they thought that they were going to flip Josiah Sharma from Oregon, and they did. And even Florida State guys this week, I had it in the war room on Thursday, kind of felt like it's a matter of when and not if for Myron Charles. Very quietly, I think the Longhorns will feel – I don't know that they're done. Maybe they lose 5. So maybe they'll continue to recruit the high school ranks and look to flip another guy or two. But in the end, it does feel like they've mostly gotten the guys at the defensive tackle position. Sharma was their number 1. Myron Charles is a guy they've really focused on. You think about Lance Jackson as a guy that's, I think, ultimately, before it's all said and done, will be a guy that moves in and plays some 3 tech, some 5 tech. So, without counting Lance Jackson, I don't think it's an elite defensive tackle class. And yet I think Texas might say, you know what, Ketch, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. These were our guys, and we think they're elite. I won't give into too much hyperbole because I don't know that I would personally feel it. Because I think he's really good, but I don't think he's elite. And that comes historically, the numbers on how high a guy succeeds. It's just, you guys have heard me say it before. But kudos to Texas doing once again. It's funny because I did think about the Texas is very, very confident thing, Chad. And there was a moment where it seemed like people prematurely wanted to like that to be a moment where I was wrong about my sources being wrong so that they could throw it in my face and say, you don't know what you were talking about. But when that original report was wrong, the thought process was from my sourcing, they think they're going to have a really good August. They did. And that included Jonah Williams and Jamie French and Khalik Lockett. And the source said, we think we're going to flip some guys. And they have. They flipped 2 of the defensive tackles that I think they were really concerned about missing when they happened, at least in the sense that they really wanted those guys. And then the third part of that was that they felt like during December and January, when the portal thing happens, that they're going to have some really good options available to them based on the people who are already reaching out and saying, hey, might be in the portal in a few months. Keep us in mind. So the momentum continues for Texas in the way that I think a lot of people thought, hey, when Texas has it rolling, the momentum should be great. The last month's been pretty great.
And for those that think, Ketch, that the kids of today have no sense of what's going on and they just have their head in the phones, Myron Charles just watched Boston College do that to Florida State, and then he watched Texas do that to Michigan, and he flipped to Texas. I mean, come on. Sometimes you got to give the kids a little credit for seeing what they see. By the way, how about a $49.99 super chat from Ryan? Just ran into Anwar here at the game. What a great game. Hook 'em. Ryan, by the way, just a personal thing from us. If you can add the penny, the color of what we see on our end changes to red, then it makes us a little happier. But thank you for the $49.99. Just for next time. But that is very cool.
Colorblind of us to the shading of the
exactly. just a little shade there, but that is fantastic. The fact that you're in Ann Arbor, you went there, you were part of the 100 that were spoken about that went up against the 100 and what was it, 110,000, 111, whatever the number was today, and Texas gets the win. That is a good feeling. I hope, Ryan, that the Michigan fans are somewhat respectful to you on the way out the door, unlike Columbus in 05. All right, let's see what, because Ketch can speak to that one. Ketch, Ohio State fans in 05, thoughts?
Oh, they were awful.
Yeah. Terrible people.
There's almost nothing that Michigan fans could do that could match. I can remember, let me see, my five things off the top of my head. Well, Sean Adams and I, the late Sean Adams and I, were in a taxi cab ride on the way back to our hotel, and it went by a frat house, and the N-bomb got thrown out a lot, to the extent that Sean and I had to make a decision, like, are we going to jail tonight? Because those are fighting words. And we decided, no, we can't go to jail because he had kids, and I can't go to jail. So we were featured in the newspaper, though, a few days. The behavior was so bad that 4 days later, still writing about it in the Columbus Dispatch. If anybody wants to go check out the Dispatch's historical records from September of 2005, you can find that. I heard the C word dropped on multiple female Texas fans, just like randomly. Like, they say the C word, Chad, like they're from the UK.
Right.
I did see things burn in the street. The next morning, you're walking around Columbus. There were legitimately fires that had been set on fire, and then they're just left in the street the next morning. It's not like those that set the couches on fire go and clean that up. So what ends up happening is it just sits in the street, and you're like, oh, classy. I could go on and on and on. There's nothing that Michigan fans could do that could top Ohio State fans. They're trash.
Yes, I apologize. I even brought up that night, but just to make the point. All right, I see the big money amount here. Here we go. South End Zone Queen, $49.99. No Lou Holtz, horns up, regular voice. Chad sings The Eyes of Texas, and an apology to Anwar.
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow.
An apology to Anwar. Wait, do I need to wait for Anwar, or I guess is it part of
it kind of feels like the people want you to grovel when Anwar comes in. Well, does Anwar expect that? Is Anwar walking around like, Chad? Chad.
I'm assuming Anwar is ready to pimp walk this thing. Yes, he not only gets the victory, but I now owe him a $25 Specs gift card. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going. So I guess I'll save that part, South End Zone Queen, and I'll just give you the Eyes of Texas part. All right, you know what? And I'll tell you what. I'll even give you the hand that does not have the Aggie ring on it. Is that good? Because I figured, I would get you'll get on me if I do that one. Okay. So here we go. You ready? The eyes of Texas are upon you all the live long day. The eyes of Texas are upon you. You cannot get away. Do not think you can escape them from night till early in the morn. The eyes of Texas are upon you till Gabriel blows his horn. And the apology will come up in a little bit. How about that? There you go.
Wow.
There it is.
We officially know Chad's price point.
$50.
I'm just saying it moving forward, $50, and you can get a lot.
Cheap date, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we are closing in.
Chad's like, take me to the Olive Garden. See where $50 gets you.
That is exactly right. Another super chat here. A lot of yelling. Texas undefeated playoff champions. It's not too soon. Travis calling for undefeated. Catch, a question I had for you coming out of this game was, if they handle their business in their next three and look good doing it, did today lock down a decent line in Austin? Like they'll be favored by a decent amount over Georgia? Is that what today did?
No.
Okay.
That's not what happened. No.
Okay.
I mean, you tell me what's a decent margin?
Like 4 to a touchdown.
No.
No? You think they'll still be like a field goal?
I think that's going to be 1 versus 2 when it happens.
Yeah. And maybe that's the other question.
And I think it's going to be a borderline pick 'em that you may see Texas favored by 2, so that on a neutral field, maybe Georgia's a 1 point. I think that Vegas will play that one very close to the vest. I think neither side will be favored by more than a field goal. And I do think it's going to be 1 versus 2 by the time we get there.
Yep. All right. So let's go there. And you know what? I just heard the sound, and I think he is ready to go, Mr. Ketchum. I think we are ready to roll live from Ann Arbor, Michigan. Oh, he's getting hooked up. Hang on. I probably shouldn't have done that. Wait, hold on. Let me double check.
I don't see him, so
You don't. Hang on. Hold on. Let me make
sure.
But
I haven't seen the chats at times either. So
okay. All right. Let me see. Anwar, give me a thumbs up if you're ready. Yes. Hang on. He's getting set up. Yes. Ready to roll? Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Live from Ann Arbor, Michigan. He is the member of the Orange Bloods crew that probably got closest to this thing. He said 31-16, if I'm not mistaken. Nailed that Texas score right on the button. Anwar, before you speak and bask in the glow of your prediction and the week.
They'll be basking.
I have been told by South End Zone Queen that I owe you an apology. So
Yes.
I apologize for whatever I need to apologize for this week. I guess there you go. I apologize for thinking Texas would win by a closer margin.
No, you should apologize for being obnoxious is what you should apologize for being. That's what you're apologizing for. It's not to say that you didn't think Texas would win. It was the obnoxious attitude that you had.
I was obnoxious?
Yes.
I was? Really?
Yes. Yes, go back and watch.
I was okay. Really? Wait, hold on. That
Yes.
catch jumps out. Wait, hold on. If catch jumps out, then I have to change the graphic here. Now, wait a minute. I don't understand. How was I obnoxious?
Because you acted like it was absurdity. You acted like people were on like licking mushrooms of some sort. You acted like there was no possibility that this outcome could happen. You thought everybody was basically on some sort of crack, and so communicated that in this smuggish kind of, oh, you guys are blah, I can't believe you don't see a scenario, and I was like, no. So it was the way that you were just defiant that it could happen. That's why the apology is here. I think that it's the tone, and your tonality was very, very, very not nice, and not of Chad. It's not of Chad, but it's okay, Chad, because at the end of the day, those who know, and there was the understanding of what would likely happen, and the things we talked about beforehand kind of ended up reaping its head in this game. They don't have a quarterback who's worth a damn. Chad, it was so bad from a quarterback perspective. I don't know. Am I good from a Wi-Fi perspective? By the way, am I okay? Because it doesned feel good.
You're good. There've been a couple little. Okay. You've frozen a couple times, but it's gotten back pretty quick.
Okay. Chad, they were Michigan was trailing in the fourth quarter and refused to go to a hurry up. Have you ever seen such a thing where you literally are down and they're like, nah, we're not going to try to hurry up and win this game? It's like the least amount of times this guy can throw the ball is really what we need at this point. That's how bad he sucks. Okay. And it's ridiculous how, that's the thing that Texas knew going into this game, Chad. They knew that he wasn't that good.
Yeah, and No,
and
and
they
in the
knew
end, I'm
that
sorry.
he couldn't beat them, and they knew that if it was Quinn plays or somebody else, Wi-Fi. So we'll just make it through.
I got you. Oh no, I'm just trying to. I got a lot of super chats coming in, so I'm just trying to make sure I catch them all because there have been so many of them today. But yeah, that was
Well, go get
one
those
of
super chats.
the things, Anwar, that I did think it was weird. I guess I thought between the two guys, maybe Michigan had one quarterback between the two guys, like
They
that
didn't
they
have
could
0.
piece together kind of in this game. They obviously didn't have that. And I mean, Texas was so impressive. So again, I apologize to you and all the people. I did not realize that anything last week was coming across as smugness.
And by
But
the way, I think people, it was a little bit, but at the end of the day, Chad, I like you. So, I'm giving you a hard time. I don't think everyone in the chat understands the nature of our relationship. So
here,
I see
and
people clutching their pearls a little bit.
yeah. The other thing, Anwar, is I'm a big believer in. I mean, I know it was 92%. At one point last week, it was 92% of people thought Texas was going to win the game, which I think that's fair. And then a whole bunch of people kept saying, the more I kept hearing, it's Texas by a bunch. It's Texas by a bunch. It's Texas by a bunch. I'm just one of those that believes in football gods and little things. And I'm like, my God, is somebody just going to say it could be close? Like maybe, like sort of going to be. So anyway, it's kind of one of those things that, but it was, like I said earlier, the
In
eyeball
hindsight,
test
though,
was
Chad.
exactly right. It was exactly.
I was going to say, in hindsight, everyone who said it was a blowout was actually correct.
But was absolutely right. And in the end, Anwar, as silly as it sounded to me at the moment, when you said Michigan didn't have a chance to win the game, you were right, because there wasn't a moment today where I thought Michigan was going to win that ball game. I just thought they were going to put up a little more fight than what we saw. They obviously did not. We got a lot of super chats rolling in, ready to go.
You guys I'm going to try to reset and see if my internet's better, okay?
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right, so Anwar is going to reset. Again, if you're jumping in here, we've got the Flipmas in September. Myron Charles flips his commitment from Florida State to Texas. Lots of super chats have rolled in. I'm seeing 17 of them lined up right now. And now there's so many of them, I've just got to scan for bigger numbers here. And I think $10 is the biggest one I see. Angry Hammer back in. Let's add to Aggie misery. NIU up 13-7 on Notre Dame. Notre Dame punting again. Angry Hammer. Yeah, I mean, if that's how you want to frame it, I think that's going to be fair, Catch, because coming out of that game last week, it's not only the basic disappointment for A&M fans, it's the fact that you had a chance to beat, at the time, what were they, the 7th ranked team in the country? That did not feel like that, but you'd have been able to say you got a top 10 win, and the Aggies couldn't figure out how to get it done.
I just don't feel like Notre Dame right now is any of Texas's business. I don't waste your brain space on Notre Dame right now, because I think this Texas football team is going to make the playoffs at 10-2. This win will be a feather in their cap at the end of the year. No matter what we think of Michigan, they will slowly but surely put some pieces back together again. Maybe they're not a Big Ten championship level team this year, but they're going to right the ship. They'll be fine. Texas just keeps winning ball games. They've got mulligans, man. They've got mulligans. A 10-2 Texas team is going to make the playoff. And today, Texas didn't look like a team that isn't going to make the playoffs. So, from my perspective, watch the rest of college football and have, you know what this is for me? And Anwar can appreciate this. I don't even know if Anwar is playing fantasy football this year at all. Are you?
No.
Me either. We both are in semi-retirement. However, on the moments when you play fantasy football where your team wins and has things locked up by 3:00, and then you can just watch the rest of the day and enjoy yourself, and you don't have to worry about, oh my God, if this guy catches 6 passes for 70 yards, my day is going to be ruined. You're like, oh, it's over with. I'm good. 100 points. He's got 2 guys left. I win. That's what today is for Texas football fans. There shouldn't be a game that you can watch that could stir you up at all. You are on top of the world. You are the toast of college football today. You will lead all of the discussions. Don't sweat whatever happens in Notre Dame happens in Notre Dame. Somebody else has to be in the playoffs. That's where I think Texas exits today, Anwar. They're in a place now where I think they're going to be in. And other teams have to make it too. So if Notre Dame loses, somebody will replace them. I mean, Texas is in a very enviable position right now. And I think that this is a team that the rest of the nation, everybody looks at Texas and thinks they're one of the best 2 or 3 teams in the country. All these other teams just don't matter to me right now.
I mean, I think, Catch, I can take it further. I mean, not only are we talking playoffs, but we're really talking about pole position when it's all said and done. I mean, like that, we're really talking about where in that top 4 will they be at the end of the season if they continue this way, right? Catch, there's a potential, and I know it's early, right? So we could say this for Overreaction Monday, but why not do it today? I mean, there's a potential that this team sees Georgia 3 times this year. Like it's literally
happen. Yes,
it can. We can see it we'll see it in a few weeks. We could see it in Atlanta, and you could potentially see it in the playoffs. Like that's the way it's shaping up.
Anwar, remind me, are you a current AP voter or not?
I am not.
Okay, if you had a vote this week, forget about whatever's going to happen with Tennessee Tech and Georgia. Forget about whatever Western Michigan is going to eat in Columbus. Is Texas the number 2 team next week? And more so, are they the number 1 team next week? Where would you put them?
I would say I'd make an argument for 1 because if we're basing it off of, and this is where I get frustrated sometimes with the pollsters, okay? And I've been a voter, right? Obviously, I've been a voter. I've been a Hall of Fame voter, so I've done voting my entire life. There's too much of I'm basing my poll off of last year and what last year's success and historic success looks like as opposed to this year. Because if we're just judging it off of 2024 and we start talking about wins, well, okay, you'll have to say which one's more impressive to you, the win against Clemson or this one here. And to me, this one here would arguably be more impressive than the Clemson win. Now, again, maybe tomato. You may be able to flip a coin. It's a close conversation, but to see the domination that this team had on the road and do what they did to this team, it's a strong argument. It should be no less than 2 with a strong argument I think I can make for 1.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the argument the other way might be, I guess you just have to weigh it out, right? Like whipping Clemson to that degree, holding them to 3. If you thought Clemson's a better team than Michigan, do you just do it that way? Or do you turn around, Anwar, and say, well, Texas just did that in Ann Arbor, so that gives them the edge? Catch, I could argue that one either way. We talked about this week. What would you do right now with what you saw? Let's assume Georgia and Ohio State are going to handle the business and do what they do. But from what you saw today, is Texas number 1?
I would probably rank Georgia 1, Texas 2. It's really close. I mean, I could just as easily say that sentence backwards and feel completely fine about it. I do think Clemson is better than Michigan. If they played tomorrow, I think Clemson would have a quarterback edge over Michigan. I think they'd probably win on a neutral field, but I think it'd probably be a 1-possession game. I think both Georgia and Texas both passed with not just flying. Whatever is the next level past flying colors, I think they both did. So,
But can I just say this real quick though, Catch? Just interrupting you. I don't think Clemson was even ranked at that time in week 1. I don't believe they were ranked going into week 1. I don't believe they were ranked going into week 1, and Texas beat a number 10 team on the road. So I'm just saying if I based it off of this year, one was ranked 10, one was unranked. So one team did exactly what they were supposed to do, where the other team, even though we thought they were going to do that, I would still give them the kudos. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Can I give you the
to an unranked team, beating an unranked team? Sure.
You just said out of one side of your mouth that you hate that voters
spend real quick
time looking at last year.
Clarification,
guys. Ranking is built off of last year. So I tend to look at these, at the end of the season last year, that Texas win over Alabama was most impressive because at the end of the year, Alabama was a playoff team. I think this Michigan team ends up being 9-3-ish. And I think at the end of the year, this win's going to be viewed as a really good win. But they didn't play Michigan of last year. So I'm not quite. I probably would like a little bit more time to think about it, like to fully absorb what it meant to watch Texas do what they did today. But I could go either way. I really don't have a strong opinion where I would say you're wrong on either side. I could in an hour feel like Texas should be ranked number one, and I think you could feel justifiably so in doing so. I think those are the two best teams in the country right now. They're clearly on a collision course in October. Will they be on a collision course for December? Will they be then on a collision course beyond that? We shall see. But I think at this moment, 1 and 2, you can flip them in any order. But Ohio State, to me, is going to have to put a marker down against a good team to say they belong in the same sentence for me with Georgia and Texas at this point.
Yeah, and Anwar, I did double check right as Abdul was sending this, but it was 14 for Clemson.
14,
so that's my bad. Clemson is barely hanging in the rankings. They were barely hanging in the rankings, I think, for the second game. So they were 14. Michigan came into this one, 10?
Yeah, so it's very close. It's a very close conversation. Very close conversation.
Yeah, it's and more than anything, guys, it just helps to hopefully set up what we're going to see on October 19th. I have never wanted to see Alabama get beat more than I want to see Georgia beat Alabama, so we can get that game in Austin to be as a big a deal as it can be. I want 1 versus 2 that day in Austin. That would be incredible. That would be so good.
Hey, Anwar, think of it like this, though. Imagine when we came out of that Georgia-Clemson game, right? So early last Saturday. Imagine at that moment we had said, wait till after Texas and Michigan play, and you will rightfully feel like Texas deserves to be ranked ahead of the Georgia team that we just watched. I think that highlights how impressive today was more than anything, because I do think a week ago we all would have been thinking to ourselves, okay, Georgia's number 1. What would Texas have to do to make us – how impressive would they have to be for us to think that they deserve to be ranked ahead of what we just watched? And the answer actually is they were really impressive today, and here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, we're talking about for the second year in a row, Catch. We're talking about Texas going on the road and defeating, a good team. Whether it's Alabama, I guess maybe the jury's out as far as Michigan being a good team, right? Maybe at the end of the year, based on what we saw today, like if other teams realize that this team doesn't have a quarterback, maybe at the end of the day, this is only an 8-win team, right? Or a 7-win team. Like we're probably not expecting a ton from this team because they don't have a quarterback. Like it's just that simple. It's crazy to be at the University of Michigan and not have a quarterback, especially in the era of a transfer portal. It almost seems egregious. But to be able to come to be at this point, Catch, where we're just even having the conversation, even entertaining the conversation after 1 week. Catch, you and I, we saw Michigan in week 1 and we saw Texas in week 1, and we we're like, that team ain't got a shot against this team, but because that's how good Texas looked. We was just like,
what's not true? We can dismiss moving forward. Teams do not make the most amount of improvement from week 1 to week 2. That did not happen today in Ann Arbor.
Those are all those cliches that people use, the week 1 to week 2. And remember I said, Catch, the other day, earlier in the week, when I was like, the only team that says, hey, it's week 1 jitters and we got to shake it off are the teams that usually play pretty poorly. And that's kind of what we saw. So, we're seeing, Catch, I think in real time, we are seeing Steve Sarkisian kind of plant himself in this team as one of the premier programs in the country, like in absolute real time. I think the thing that I've been able to wrap my head around fairly easily is that I think for the most part, Catch, I'm pretty much done with any kind of doubt as relates to Sark. I think I'm done. I'm done as far as anything recruiting wise. We can panic in June and have a little panic in early July, and then all of a sudden here we are at the end of August. We're like, well, I guess it wasn't as bad as we thought, right? And you can have some panic about, oh, well, what are they going to do with these receivers, and what are they going to do with these defensive tackles, and all these kind of things. We're like, I don't know. And then at the end of the day, he just goes and beats a team on the road by 19. And now we're like, so what do you think about this team competing for the number one spot in the top 4? And I think what we're literally of seeing is the torch. We started seeing the torch being passed to Kirby when Nick Saban was around, but there's been that opening that when Nick goes, who's that person that actually gets the torch? And I think Sark has a chance to be in that conversation as the person that gets the torch. And he's the person that year in and year out, they are the team to beat within this conference and in the country. Like, I think that's exactly what we're seeing. And I think today was just kind of a more evidence of the evolution and the understanding where this program is at.
And Anwar, to your point, there are 3 current coaches that have national titles. There's only one of them that feels like he can actually get another one at this point, and Sark's going to face him on October 19th. Because with all due respect to what Dabo and Mac Brown have done, show of hands, who thinks Dabo and Mac Brown are in line for another national title? Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, that just keeps adding to the October the 19th thing.
I think that you could make a case that over the course of the next 4 or 5 years, we'll have to see how this 12-team playoff plays out. But, it could be that only Texas not winning a national championship becomes a thing that Texas has to – that would be like the knock, right? Because I think they're knocking down all of the knocks. I mean, one thing we know they can do is they can go on the road and win. Last 2 seasons, they've gone to Alabama and they've gone to Michigan. I mean, and in both cases ended long win streaks, and in both cases beaten both teams by double digits in ways that those teams don't get beat by double digits. Although I will say, look, man, I said it during the week, and I won't change my thought process on it now. Sharon Moore, no offense to that guy, and I don't even think this is insulting. It just is. He's just not. Jim Harbaugh's not on the sideline for Michigan anymore. And as kooky and crazy as he can sometimes be and cheat, yeah, that too. But as all that stuff aside, that guy's coached the team to a national championship. He's been to the playoffs 3 times. He did a great job at Stanford. He took a team into the NFL, to the Super Bowl, and was on the cusp of winning a Super Bowl. Like, he's elite. And that's not what Michigan has anymore. And I think they lost a little bit of their Jim Harbaugh-ness today. Will they be able to get that back? We'll see over the course of this season. But, that team's more competitive today if Jim Harbaugh is on the sidelines. And I came away, I didn't have a negative thought about Sharon Moore. It just wasn't even really about him. But Harbaugh could take a team that doesn't have a bunch of 5 stars, maybe even has a slight talent disadvantage, and can turn it into a game where it's a 4th quarter game. Today, it looked like Texas had all of the Jimmies and the Joes. It felt like, and when I do the super blue chip rankings and I'm like, Texas is 4th and Michigan's not even on the list. Today, it felt that way. Today, I watched Michigan and I didn't feel like at any point during the game there was one guy, and I'm talking about all their guys. Will Johnson didn't make a play today where I was like, oh, he could start for Texas. Today, when these 2 teams played, all of the best-looking players played for Texas. All of the plays that were made by Texas players. There wasn't one guy on that Michigan team when this game was over. And their tight end was pretty good today, but he got outplayed by Gunnar Helm. There wasn't one guy on this Michigan team today that played at a level where I would go, you know what? Insert that guy into the starting lineup for Texas, and Texas is better. I thought the Texas corners were as good as the Michigan corners today. I thought the Texas offensive line blocked the Michigan defensive line so well that it was like, I don't know if any of those dudes could play for Texas. They didn't do anything today. It felt like, and this is where I think Anwar is really, really right. Texas is poised to be good for a really long time because they got a bunch of great talent, and Sarkisian's not going to mess this thing up. Sarkisian, when he's got this type of talent, surprise, he's really good as a head coach. And, you know, when we look at his career and say he wasn't really, really good, he didn't have this type of talent advantage. When he was at USC, he didn't get a chance to really build the roster up and then turn it loose the way he is in year 4 at Texas. If you're just a Texas fan, like, pinch yourself. This is real. You have a real football team with a real incredible foundation. And a bunch of the Saturdays this year are going to be a lot of fun. Like, Saturdays are fun. Today was fun. Today was so much fun that at the end of it, you were like, oh, I want some more sugar. Give me my dopamine hit. How come Sark isn't throwing the ball up by 30? Like, you know, we're almost at that 2005, Chad, that level where Texas fans watch a 42-17 game and they go, Sims, he's not that good at quarterback. You know, like, I've seen this from the program before where they're so good. Enjoy this, Texas fans. It's been a long time since Texas has been this freaking good, and they play this game 10 times. Texas wins this game 10 times out of 10. Watching this today, nothing about today, Chad, could be overturned by a punt return or a pick six. It would have just taken Texas a little bit longer to put their foot on Michigan's throat. They play this game 10 times. Texas wins all 10 in Ann Arbor. Nothing about today was a mistake.
They are enjoying it to the tune of 24 super chats that are lined up. Let's get to some of them here. $1.99 from Bryson just hopped on, but Myron Charles just flipped too. That did happen, Bryson. Thank you for that.
Hey,
that
real
review.
quick, Chad.
You may have missed it.
Texas, with that commitment, now has the number 4 recruiting class in the country in the Rivals.com rankings.
There you go. There it is. And you know what? Sark was talking about Sark was saying, come see me in November. He was just a little late. He should have said September. Come see me after the Michigan game and let me know about that class. Gerard jumps in and so the $1.99. Hail to the villains, Anwar. Hail to the villains. Anwar, somebody chatted that Texas should have worn all black if they were going to go in there.
Well, that's what Stark is wearing.
And but Darth Vader, the Wolverines like
hey,
that.
have you noticed that's what he's worn the last 2 weeks has been like that, the all black with a tie. So the all black button down. So that might be his thing. He may need to do that.
But he had
every
the
week.
orange jacket today.
Yeah, but the shirt is black.
Yeah, shirt. Oh, he loves the Johnny Cash look.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's done the black shirt in back-to-back weeks. I'm hoping this is a thing. I hope he does it every week.
I told you, black's a great color on him. It's very slimming. And when he's in great shape and he's wearing slimming clothing, he looks like $1 million. He's looked like $1 million the last 2 weeks.
Catch, we're getting a $9.99 super chat. This will close a chapter from our show this week. Barb's 10 post-funeral update. Yes, I went, and I'm here for the post game. That's OB Love. Catch, I want my Motel 6 headboard reference since UT won by more than 15. R.I.P. Dennis. We got the name. Dennis is the name of Barb's 10's father-in-law. Is that right? The father-in-law?
Yes.
Yeah, is that what it was? The stepfather?
I hope you DVR'd this game, Barbs.
Yeah, go back and watch. The good news is it was not a game you ever had to sweat out if you were like peeking in on it. But yeah, go back and soak every bit of it up. And certainly rest in peace to Dennis and all the best to your family. Thank you for the super chat there. Here's Paul looking forward to Dallas. $9.99 super chat. Texas needs to knock down the OU barrier. Sark is 1-2 against them when he should be at least 2-1 and realistically 3-0. Tired of this narrative. Anwar, it is never too early to start thinking about Dallas.
I was just thinking, wow, Paul's thinking that far ahead at this point. He's not even thinking about the win. He's like, it's got to be the OU. I'm tired of this. I'm like, okay, Paul.
He's fired up.
There's a lot of other people. Maybe Paul's just looking past the next few weeks and just getting to the most important one.
We all enjoy it different ways, right? Fans enjoy their wins in different ways. So Paul's doing those different things. Here's just a basic question from Tyler, guys. A $2 super chat. Is the Georgia defense better than Michigan's?
Yes.
I would say hell yes. Certainly by the way they played today. Anwar, would you agree?
I'm sorry, I just saw that David Benda planted the flag on the Michigan M. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I just saw that. I'm sorry. Sark's not going to like that.
No. Is that a real field or a turf field, by the way?
I don't know. They didn't let us down there. I can tell you that much. So I can't tell you that. That's a good question.
That usually means real grass.
I would hope. I would hope.
True.
You remember when Baker Mayfield tried to plant a flag in a turf field, and they were like, "Dude, it's turf. What are you doing?" Like,
it didn't go in. So because of that, it probably is. Now, to be fair, every time here's what these athletes never appreciate. Catch, you've seen this before because you've been around and sort of chat. They don't appreciate how heavy those flags are, and they see those other guys who like the male cheerleaders holding them, and they just think to themselves, "Oh, let me go ahead and take this flag," and the struggle that is on these guys to actually get that thing upright. I've seen many a guy struggle trying to do that.
It's field turf, guys.
Okay. Well, that's why the flag plant didn't work.
That is why it's a weird flag plant in that way. By the way, guys, if you caught the flag thing at the beginning with Charles Woodson and Matthew McConaughey knew what you were saying, Anwar. That's why he let Charles Woodson run away from him, and he stood still. He knew trying to run with that big heavy flag is harder than it looks.
Well, one guy's a Hall of Fame professional athlete, and the other guy's Matthew McConaughey.
Exactly, but he understood that, Catch. His ego could have gotten to him there. You know what I mean? He went face to face with him and said, "You're much faster. You go take off. You're good. You're good." All right. Still got a lot of super chats lined up. Let me see. Scanning for some amounts. How about this one? Justin, $4.99 super chat. So proud of this team and Sark. My only regret is Quinn didn't have the numbers to catapult him in the Heisman race, but definitely can't complain. There's a first world one from Justin. 19-point win, and you're mad that you didn't get more Heisman.
Well, you are not more angrier than Jason Suckermel at this moment, so I can tell you that.
We know that. Jason and Catch and everybody that had the Quinn Ewers passing number on Prize Picks a half a yard away.
It's basically the only Prize Pick in that whole show. That's the one that we liked. It's the only one that we really stood on the table for that didn't hit. I hope the rest of you took advantage of the ones that we felt really confident in. The Gunnar Helm one was obvious. We all played the Jaden Blue receiving yards to the tilt. The field goal kickers, if you played those, you hit those. It was the passing yards. But I will dispute this, Justin. Quinn had 3 touchdown passes, no turnovers, and his team walloped Michigan in the Big House. I promise at the end of the year, that will be a feather in his Heisman cap. This game will not be something that doesn't aid his Heisman cause. You can go to sleep tonight knowing that 3 touchdowns, flawless performance, ended the national champions win streak in Ann Arbor in a massive way. Trust me, Quinn's going to get a lot of love coming out of this. He's perfectly situated for a Heisman run. I don't know that going over 300 yards or throwing for another touchdown, I don't know that it changes anything. I think he had exactly the performance he needed.
Yeah, I mean, you get the big road
on the rating.
Yeah. I mean, big win on the road like that. That will. Here's the thing, and not only the big win on the road, Catch, but also your ranking obviously helps. So that will, it sets him up nicely. It sets him up nicely to at least be in New York.
No doubt. All right, guys, more super chats. $4.99. Chad, do your prediction for Texas change? I'm not going to call the last super chat anymore. Yeah, you don't need to do that. Don't need to do it. $4.99. Okay, my prediction for Texas change. I'm assuming you mean like for the season change?
I think that's the question.
I guess it would be. I guess that's a good question. So if I had them at 10-2 in the regular season, does this? I thought Michigan, OU, or Georgia was a loss, and then one of those two big roadies at the end was a loss. So I'll keep the prediction the same at the same spot. We do need to see him play a quarterback. I mean, that's a fair thing to see. But so no, it didn't change my overall prediction of the season. I still think what I thought. I think they're a playoff team. I think they're a really, really good team. But I do think there could still be a couple losses on the record. If you made me take it to the window in Vegas, I might cut it in half and go to 1. Might do that. Because they today felt like a team that maybe Georgia, maybe OU, but like I don't know that 2 more teams may get them. So I might be coaxed to go to a 1, but I'll leave it at 2.
It's going to be if they lose to Oklahoma, they play badly because Oklahoma's not this good. Like it will, but I mean, we will take Texas with a real dip in performance because they are more talented. They're just better than Oklahoma. And they weren't in that game last year. Like I give Dylan Gabriel, who I've called out numerous times for kind of being average in big games. He was Herculean last year in that game. If they don't, I mean, they're better than Oklahoma right now. Oklahoma today doesn't deserve to be mentioned in the same sentence as Texas. Last year's game be damned.
Oscar with a $4.99 super chat, extra 10 for Chad singing the eyes. Your fan base will never forgive you. Oscar, that is probably true, although they have a list of things they've probably not forgiven me for years.
I mean, Billy thinks you're a Longhorn, so
yeah, I was exactly. Yeah, exactly. When Billy Lucci speaks to me, he says y'all, and he means Longhorns. That's if you want perspective on that. Hooked on the Horn says $5 for a super chat. Some of y'all are acting like Chad predicted Michigan would beat us by 40. P.S. Love you, Chad. Thank you, Hooked.
Is that one of your family members, Chad?
I guess, yeah, some of the family, cousins.
Hi, Wendy.
Trying to help out. Exactly. $4.99 from Jamari. Are we ready to declare Quinn the best quarterback in the country? I'm ready to go Anwar mode and declare he will not have another bad game. Hook 'em. Emoji.
Don't do that. Jamari, you're my dude, but don't do that. That came back to haunt me a little bit. So I stood on the table. So I'm not going to do that. Just say he's going to be good. Leave it at that. Don't do that, Jamari. I'll tell you, don't do what Onk did.
That's funny. Thank you for that super chat. And thank you, Jamari, for that one. All right, let's see. There's a 10 spot down here from Just a Dude. Colin Simmons got the first sack of his career as well as the first sack of the season. Wingo made the most of his opportunity, and Gibson leads Texas in touchdowns. Future is bright, only gets better, right? Fellas, one of the ingredients of this game that didn't really end up mattering, Anwar, I wanted to get your thoughts on the whole Jaden Blue thing, because at the moment he goes off the field, there's got to be a little bit of that concern, if not for today's game, for today and moving forward. So give me a thought about just how that all played out. He obviously comes back, but then to this point, I thought Gibson ran the ball really well. Hell, Wisner ran the ball really well. Like Texas did what Sark said they would do, Anwar. They ran between the tackles when they needed to.
Well, I think the person freaking out the most was Alex on our team's messages, and I love it. By the way, Catch, I love in our inner office stuff on Teams when people ask me questions like, Anwar, do you see him on the sidelines? Do you see him moving? Like I was sitting here like, oh shit, I would have never thought to do that. Like what? I was just literally just sitting here enjoying the game. Like I thought I was just supposed to have fun. But thank you, person from afar, who's telling me that I should do the quite obvious thing what my job entails, which is to freaking look for somebody who might be injured. Thank you for pointing out the obvious of what my job is. I appreciate it. By the way, it annoys me. I don't know if you can tell. That being said,
can I defend Alex just a little bit?
Defend Alex and every other person, Travis, all these people who every week someone gets hurt and they're like, "Do you see anything on the sidelines, Anwar?" No, you're right. I didn't actually know how to do my job until you told me how to do it. But now that you've told me how to do it, here I am 30 years in. Thank you.
Hey,
I will defend Alex.
Thank you.
Just because I think it's the complete degenerate gambler thing to do. You know, like he wasn't trying to be insulting. He was leaning into, because I had the same thought, but I wasn't going to ask the question because I felt like if Blue was going to the hospital in an ambulance, you would tell us because you likely also had Jaden Blue in Prize Picks. So I felt like that would be communicated. So I felt like if we needed to know, you would tell us, not because you are an all-star reporter, which you are, but you're like a semi-degenerate Prize Picks player. Whereas I think Alex just full-on leaned into that thing he can't control. But I feel you. Just so you know, it crossed my mind, and I totally gave you the benefit of the doubt. I was like, no, I kind of want to ask too. And then it popped up, and privately I was like, okay, Alex, you did what I was thinking. But it crossed my mind, and I was like, no. Anwar he knows we all have Jaden Blue. If Blue is having his leg amputated on the sideline, Anwar will tell us.
Oh shit! I forgot. Oh my god! What's going on?
Hey,
now listen. I appreciate. Now what I do appreciate is sometimes when you guys point out like there's an injury, because sometimes in real time I don't see it and you guys see a replay, so there may be something that I miss. But when you guys say, oh my god, this guy, like, he broke his leg in 3 places, like, oh my god, it was so horrible, oh my god, I can't believe that. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I missed this guy who broke his leg in 3 places. When they're like, Anwar, do you see anything? I'm like, no, I see nothing. I'm gonna keep this to myself and never tell you guys. Just my baby, my information. Anyway, I'm just playing around. This is what a good show feels like. You guys don't know.
Michigan feels like right here.
This is me having a good time because you don't know how many damn horrible post-game shows.
Turned himself into Gollum and was like protecting the ring there. That was awesome.
Yeah. That was excellent.
This is my Jaden Blue note, not yours.
But it was almost Yoda-ish.
I was going to say Gollum kind of turned into Yoda.
I'll be honest. I don't really have a reference to what you guys are talking about. I just made up a voice that I thought might apply to it.
This long, you will get the ring. Yeah, that was a kind of combining your nerdy metaphors. That was well done, and you didn't even realize what you were doing. That was very good.
I just went for it.
By the way, Anwar, just a heads up, next week at the UTSA game, if you need a stat, I think they actually bring them to you in the press box. There's like a sheet. They put them all on the same piece of paper. So instead of looking stuff up, it's right there.
Poor Jeff Trail is probably looking up stats like how long will it take for him to get back home. I mean, because that guy's like, man, this is going to be an ass kicking this weekend.
Good grief. We got a lot of super chats. We're still rolling through. Thank y'all so much for jumping in. We're damn near 3,000 people in the spec chat.
This
Texas thrashes Michigan 31-12, and it felt even worse than that. Chad Big Cheddar Gibson with a $4.99. Hook 'em horns, emojis everywhere, catches right. This secondary is fast as fuck. You love to see it. They certainly did look fast.
Man, Manny Muhammad looked good, didn't he, catch?
He did. He was involved in the coverage that led to the Makuba interception. It was one of the things I said before you come on War, is that even guys that didn't technically make a turnover today, it felt like everybody in the secondary was involved in a play. Muhammad and Makuba and Derek Williams, and it just that group's really good, and we have to stop citing what their ranking was in pass defense was a year ago. They're really, I don't know what they are nationally, but they're going to be a top. They're going to be a top 50. I feel that good I feel they're definitely going to be that good. This might be a top 10 in the country level pass defense. Got to see them play against good quarterbacks. But I think Colorado State actually has a pretty good quarterback. And I think Texas made them miserable last week. Maybe we won't really learn anything until the OU game with this pass defense, but I really like it.
So, guys, did I see that play right? Was it Ethan Burke that also got a little piece of that one, then Muhammad, and then it was Makuba? Were there 3 guys involved in that play? Like, did
you talking about the interception? You talking about the interception?
Yeah. Did Burke get a piece of that at the line, or did I dream that up? It looked like he got close.
I don't remember Burke being a part of that. I remember Manny, unless I missed that portion. I just remember Manny tipping it, then Makuba grabbing it. That's what I remember, but I'd have to go back and look at it. Maybe someone else saw it differently.
Chad, good comment, though. That's a hell of a play. Another one just along the same lines. We'll put them together here. 199 from James. That UT secondary. Woo! Hook them, James. They did certainly look good. And to that game, that a couple references we've had, the one in Dallas. Obviously, Texas is going to need that against OU and then against Georgia the very next week. This is another one from Google Scholar, 199. We clap cheeks even though the refs hosed us. Boy, no,
did you feel like the refs were bad? I didn't.
Anwar, we've been getting the refs. Like, there are a few people that just can't let it go. There were a couple of calls that went against Texas. There should have been a late hit on Quinn. There should have been a pass interference penalty on a bang play in the middle of the field where I think Bond may have gotten. I can't remember exactly who it was, but it was a bang play. The DB arrived at the ball early. Should have been a PI. But guys, I'm telling you, save that energy for later in the year when there really is bad officiating. That wasn't today. It really is down my list of things to complain about.
I would agree with that.
And Sark said the hold on Cam Williams he thought was questionable.
It was.
Okay. Yeah, that one was. 499 super chat from John. John, thank you for that. If you needed to add something, do that. But we do appreciate you. Maybe you're just throwing money in the old tip jar. We appreciate that.
You, John. I'm just going to assume you were tipping the dealer. We appreciate it.
James 199 waiting for Jason's now slow down. Oh, James, you're going to be waiting a while. Are you kidding? Jason Sugabel's not slowing down. Texas just whipped Michigan by 19, and Myron Charles flipped during the postgame show. Huh? There's no slowing down.
Jason, I think when been on my show this week, he said he's not using that phrase. Like he's all in on Texas.
Yeah, and this is another one I would agree with. Somebody said, no fast forward, Sukamel. Let's savor all this. Jason made a reference to let's get to OU and Georgia. I think maybe in the Georgia game he was referencing. But, man, I would tell every Texas fan, try to savor this. Anwar, it's a tough thing. You've covered this team a while, and obviously, Ketch, you have too. You guys know, man, blue blood fan bases. They expect so much. The bar is so high. Damn it, enjoy this. You got 2 more non-conferences now. You're in the SEC where they give you 4 non-conferences and a lot of them are garbage. Well, your 2 garbages haven't really happened yet. So these are your worst 2 coming, maybe. I guess Colorado State might be worse than UTSA. We'll find out. But 2 more non-conference, then you get to see yourself in an actual SEC game. Enjoy these next 3 weeks before you go to Dallas. You got a damn good football team. Don't rush it. Don't rush the season.
Catch. So again, I'll do a Catch reference because Catch knows things that I've written continuously throughout the years. And Catch knows one of the things I used to write about was up until last season was Texas versus non-conference opponents and how horrible that record would be for years because they never had a winning record. They hadn't had a winning record. I think it was since like 2013 or 2012. I forget what it was up until last season. Like it was over 10 years where Texas could have never started 3-0. Like that's where we were. So to your point, Chad, I don't give a damn when UTSA rolls in here, like UTSA linemen roll, light up the scoreboard, have a good time because Texas fans have been through too much not to enjoy every moment.
Absolutely. All right, let's see. Gerard back in with a 499. Donovan Edwards isn't even close to as good as an injured Jaden Blue. We were like Waffle House. Absolutely cooked them. Man. Yeah, Donovan Edwards is not doing a whole lot for me, Anwar, making me believe he's a number 1 running back. And Michigan's not doing a good job to show him off that way either.
Well, I mean, the problem is their offense is anemic, and again, they don't have a quarterback. So because you don't have a quarterback, he's not going to be able. Texas knew, and one of the things I alluded to in the war room, I'm going to make sure I'll make sure I address this in my Sunday column. Texas knew their strategy was, look, we know this quarterback is not good. We know he's not good. So what we're going to do is we're going to be real basic on defense. We're not going to blitz because we don't want to have the problem of creating an error and just somehow somebody getting burned or something to that effect. They said we're going to keep it real basic on defense and keep everything in front of us because that guy cannot beat us. We just are not convinced of it. And he can't catch. It was so bad. We were having this when we had a technical issue before, but I made mention of it that their quarterback is so bad, Catch, that they literally would not go to a hurry-up offense in the fourth quarter where they were trailing. Like, literally, we're milking down the clock. Like, they were like, man, like they had the lead. That's how bad their offense is. That's how anemic it is that they didn't even try to go fast because they knew they have a quarterback who couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is always going to be the wrong time for Michigan to play Texas. And it may be that even in November, it's not a good time for this Michigan team to play Texas, but this was the wrong time to play Texas. There's a reason. Look, everybody has to understand that Anwar and I understand what it would have looked and sounded like to come out and say that Texas was going to dog walk. Somebody mentioned earlier, so I use that expression. So it looks like someone was taking umbrage with my comments about how this game would go, and Anwar and I both felt like this can be a 3-score win. And I think the nation would have heard that and thought, oh, you homers. And I was like, no, this Texas team is really good. And this Michigan team is not ready to play this really good team. The final score flattered Michigan. If Texas really wanted to put the hammer down, they could have. Again, I think that would have potentially opened the door for a big play to go the other way. And I think to your point, Anwar, and what you're going to write about, Sark realized as long as we don't open the door for them, they have no chance. And that's what it was going to take today, was a big special teams play and massive defensive play. And then even then, that only gets them in the ballpark of being competitive in this game. So this is stunning because I don't think during the summer, Chad, you and I talked a lot about this Michigan game, and I was always very leery of it. I always expected Texas to win for the reasons that I ultimately thought they won by. But I thought Michigan would be more respectful. I thought it will be a more daunting challenge. And by the end of the first quarter, I didn't say it because I didn't want to like jinx anything, but I was thinking to myself, this is going to be easy. It should have been 14-0, right? Because they did come away with no points on that opening drive, but they completed 3 third downs. They had a touchdown wiped off. They missed a field goal. And I did think, oh God, is that going to come back and haunt them? But by the end of the first quarter, I was like, nope, it's really not. They can write their score down right now, and that's the game.
Yeah, no, you two specifically saw this one correctly, which is why I don't understand this chat. Super chat, $5. Catch, I said we would dog walk them. You have to agree now. So much winning today. Football edits, he predicted 34-16. He predicted an 18-point win, and they won by 19. You getting on him for 1 point? What?
This is where Catch feels like he can never win.
I know.
What are we doing? Like,
had I nailed the score correctly, somebody would have said, well, what about the OU game last year? Like I just,
Yeah, I don't know what to do with that one. I do know what to do with this one, Anwar. A lot of fans are wondering this one. Rhett threw it in for $1.99. Is Ant all right? Any word? I guess maybe throw Blue in as well. Blue able to come back? Anything to be concerned about there? And then what about Anthony Hill?
Nothing mentioned by Sark afterwards. I feel like I saw Anthony Hill after the game and didn't notice anything, but there was a lot going on at the moment. There's nothing at this moment. So we'll wait and see what that looks like. I haven't usually, if there was a panic of some sorts, I probably would have heard something by now.
The whole team will be in a boot, just so you know. So don't freak out.
Well, and look, it's versus UTSA, so let's just be honest. So,
And on that first SEC injury report in a couple weeks, everybody's questionable with a shoulder. No, not really. All right, this is Jagmus 999. Anwar, my mom is watching and
okay.
said, you are serious today. I just made you are salty. Was the trip to Ann Arbor rough? I'm not sure what's being asked here.
Maybe
Anwar,
she had said, if you are serious today, I don't.
That has to be
Okay.
related to when you were giving Chad the business.
Okay, so
maybe that was it. Okay,
maybe that's what it is.
Not about the trip part.
We can just I get the gist of it, whatever non-specifics. So here's the deal. When I'm smiling, I'm usually pretty much in a good mood, and I'm just giving someone a hard time because that's just what I like to do. If I was super confrontational and just coming at someone or real short, like really short, like I'm giving you really short answers, then like I'm pretty pissed off. But I was just giving Chad a hard time. If people were texting me during the show like, don't let Chad off the hook, don't let him off the hook for everything he said, because you didn't see that when on Chad and I, we do a show every Wednesday. It's on how it's so every Wednesday Chad and I do a show from noon to 2, and on our show, weekly show, he see, this is why I'm in a good mood, because now the catch this caught astray. That's it. So anyway,
it's my new favorite show of the year, by the way.
It is. We're trying to think of a name for it. We're trying to think of a name for
Take that, Football with Friends. The Chad and Anwar chemistry better than Alex and Cody.
Nothing's better than Alex and Cody.
But beef traders with food in their mouth.
Yeah,
Did you
they
see
loved
them
it.
smacking on food? I was like, Jesus Christ. They were like cookie. Nom 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 nom. Steak in my mouth. Nom 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 nom.
Wow.
But tell mom Dukes, I'm in a great mood. I went out. I don't know if you saw on my Twitter. I saw I was hanging with Kevin James last night at his restaurant. Like, nice. I've had a great time. I love being Kevin Johnson. I apologize. Kevin Spacey, Kevin Johnson. I get them all confused. But
I a lot of Kevins lately.
It has been.
Wait a minute. Did you just mix up Kevin James and Kevin Johnson, like the Phoenix basketball player?
Yeah, the basketball player.
With the Suns point guard.
Okay, that's a good clarification, because that is just two very different images in my head.
I apologize. I apologize. Okay. So I'm having fun. I love this was my home for several years. So I'm actually in a really good mood, and I'm in a really good mood if Texas wins. I can tell you that much, because my life this week is really, for the next few weeks, it's on like autopilot. Everyone's going to be so happy.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of positive.
I could have like 10 errors in my column tomorrow. No one's going to care. They'd be like, "Hey, just want to let you know, small error. It's not Steve Sarkisian." I was like, I know you said Tom Herman's the coach. It's actually Sark. But good job, buddy. Like, no one will be upset about anything. It's a great time.
Oh my God! Somebody pointing out the technicality. Tyler, for $2, Wingo outrushed Edwards with a big laughing emoji.
Hey guys,
that's a good stat, Tyler.
At some point, they're going to turn that man loose, really turn him loose. And right now, it's clear 1-2 in the receiving pecking order is Bond and Golden. Nobody else even really played today. But next couple of weeks, that rotation will open back up, and we'll see more guys play. We'll see more. Like Silas Bolden's still going to play a lot this season. But at some point, Ryan Wingo is going to be he had a play today. They had at some point, Ryan, you're going to get the special. And my God, I mean, he's breathtaking in the open field. It's nice to think that in some of these blowouts, we're going to see some players arch. We'll see more of the receivers. Cook seems to get more involved later in the games, whether it's Ewers or Arch, like that's his time to shine. Who knows? Maybe even Amari Niblack will play in the future. Oh man, I just gave Nyblack a stray. I think that's just because of the Prize Picks.
Don't
By the way,
oh man, that really busted it up for Jason though. That penalty, he was in the clear. He needed 1 yard to win 1,000. And then Nyblack has a penalty that gets
the thing is,
back.
Jason was watching the game on a delay. So when that came into the team's channel, everybody started like cursing and then making OMGs, and Jason had no idea. Then he sees it and it just sucked the air out of him.
So poor guy.
Real quick, Jess with a 199. We got a team! Exclamation points, footballs, and hook 'em emojis and smile. That really is, Anwar, that is emoji form of what you just said the mood is going to be like for the next couple weeks. Smiley face, hook 'em horns emoji, and a football. For the next 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how they play against Mississippi State, there's your vibe in emoji form right there.
Yeah, I mean, the only challenge right now is that we just got to figure out what to talk about for the next 2 weeks, because I don't think we'll be talking about the opponents, right? So that will be a little bit of a challenge, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
well,
no doubt.
Myron Warren, had he waited a couple of days, we could have squeezed some out of that, but now he's flipped. So
Myron Charles.
What did I say? Myron Warren? Yeah, sorry.
Myron
Warren. That's okay.
You gave him the combo of another Florida State name from back in the day.
No, Myron Warren played for Texas.
What's that now? I'm sorry.
For about 5 minutes.
Yes, right. That's true. Good point. Let's see. Just a dude. Do we get this one? I don't think we did. $4.99. Sark needs to be in all black on game day because that man was a true villain today. Thoughts on the freshman? We have not gotten to this one. Thoughts on freshmen today, guys? I mentioned Gibson earlier, who I thought ran well. Who else stood out? Catch.
I'm glad you come to me first on this. I was going to be quiet and let Anwar go first.
No,
but
go for it. No, I'm in a noisy part right now.
I owe Jarrett Gibson an apology. I thought Jarrett Gibson, if I'm being completely honest, because now I'm apologizing, and if you're going to apologize for all of it and not just shades of it. I thought Jarrett Gibson as a recruit was kind of a jag. I did. And I thought, you know what? One of those running backs between him and Christian Clark, they probably won't both make it. And if I had to put money on a guy transferring before camp arrived, I would have said, I don't think Jarrett Gibson's at the level. I was wrong. Jarrett Gibson is really good. I think he's better right now as a freshman than I ever saw CJ Baxter a year ago. Now, some of the CJ Baxter was injured and banged up, but my initial impressions of Jarrett Gibson are higher than what I was thinking CJ Baxter was delivering a year ago. And I was wrong. And I apologize to Jarek. I apologize to his father. I apologize because I know, family members on Orange Bloods and stuff like that. I apologize to everybody. That dude can ball. He balled out today when given the opportunities. I was just flat out wrong. And I'm like baby's dad. When I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong. You looked wonderful out there.
Well, can I come to your defense to say when you came to the defense of Alex?
Sure. I love it when people defend me.
To your defense, if there were no injuries, he would have gone into the season as the 4th-string guy. So it's not like you were just 100% out there. It took some injuries for him to move up the depth chart to where he is. So it took 2 injuries for him to get it. Now he's taking the most of his opportunities, but going into the year, he was a 4th-string guy who probably would not have played a lot had that not occurred. So I don't think you're you shouldn't hit yourself up too hard over that one.
No,
but
better than I thought. Like I thought he was going to maybe be scrubbish.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Never mind.
He's
never mind, Catch.
Like I'm admitting I did not think he was going to be a guy that over the course of the next 3 or 4 years wasn't any kind of impactful. I just kind of thought, you know what? Sometimes these top national 150 guys, somebody's got to be a bust. I thought he might be a candidate for that. He's really good. I was wrong. He's going to be much more than I thought he was going to be. And these early flashes of playing time. Everybody else is kind of like nobody else is surprising me. Ryan Wingo, really good. You can go through all Colin Simmons. Hey, first of what we think will be many sacks. They're already getting him on the field with the first team on certain passing downs. You can kind of go through the rest of the true freshmen that are already playing. Nobody is surprising me, but Jarrett Gibson did. And that's why I wanted to issue a full apology on every level. I have completely reset the meter on what I think about Jarrett Gibson as a current football player and as a player in the future.
Probably good. Jason Sukamel's not on the postgame show at this point. Catch warning on this one. This is just rudeness from Sentient Bot, $5 super chat. I hit on Quinn with 245.5 passing with 246. That's just rude.
Oh, wow. He must have got that earlier.
There's no need to brag that you picked the less on that. Why would you do that?
No.
He picked the more.
He's saying he got a different line on Quinn. He got Quinn at 245.6 when we got him at 246.5.
Oh, I got you. Okay, got you. I'm sorry. It's slightly different. Damn. Well,
that's those guys.
Hey, to the victor go to spoils. Like he got on that early. We waited too late.
He did.
Good job,
he
Sentient
did.
Bot. Good job.
All right, Sentient Bot. Never mind. Good job. Well done. Well done. Well played. All right. Let's see.
We're almost done. Let's run through these.
$5. Chad and I are both North Texas boys, but as far as I know, we aren't related. Hooked on the Horns. As far as I know, you're right, but you never know. You never know. Hey, we're all brothers and sisters on some level. Let's see what else we've got. Is Sark evolving or saving something with respect to the long ball? ATX Bates wanted to see more deep passing today. Anwar?
You know, it's interesting. On my Friday show, Catch was watching, and then I was like, one of my keys to victory was like, Sark, take the points. And then the moment he tries to take the points, the field goal is missed. I'm like, all right, well, then to hell with all this. So I don't know. I think it's some of it's evolution, and some of it's just Quinn just being able to deal at this point. And he's not going just air it out 50, 60 yards. He's letting Quinn make these good throws that are somewhat difficult, but Quinn makes it look good. And by the way, Quinn moving around in the pocket, using his feet and buying more time and hitting guys was pretty damn masterful today, I must say. So I don't know if he's evolving per se, but I do think he's found an offense that he feels really comfortable with, and it doesn't just have to be deep balls.
I think he's evolving, Chad.
Yeah.
We know Sark wants to go vertical. We do. Like we've made jokes last year that the only thing he loved more than CJ Baxter maybe was throwing the ball deep. It's not Quinn's number one strength. In fact, I would contend that the ugliest pass, if we take away the ball that he threw to Isaiah Bond where they were just not on the same page, the ugliest ball that he threw today was that deep ball to Silas Bolden where he just tried to lob it. Quinn is still evolving himself in the deep ball. And if you go over the course of the last 6 to 8 games last season, they tailored off on throwing the deep ball quite a bit. It's not the ball that Quinn throws best. I mean, he should have hit Silas Bolden in stride, and that should have been a touchdown. But it wasn't a good throw. And then I watched it, and I was like, oh, well, if you've been wondering where the deep ball – it was – and you know what? It was very similar to the ball that he – not apple to apple, but it was kind of similar to the ball that he threw at Alabama last year to both Worthy and Mitchell, where he let the receivers run underneath that ball. So he's not hitting them in stride. He's allowing those guys to make plays on the ball. This one, he didn't throw as well as he did those other balls. Quinn was sensational today. So what do we see? We saw Sarkisian calling a game tailor-made for his quarterback, and he came across I thought he played his best game as a Longhorn today. I really did. But playing his best game as a Longhorn right now doesn't involve necessarily a lot of the deep ball. And that's okay. That's okay. Because if everything else is sensational, then we can all live with that. We can live. What did it mean? It meant more targets for the tight end. It meant more targets for the running backs today. It meant that basically they played with 2 wide receivers. They didn't get all cute and crazy. And If they had 4 wides, it didn't mean they were all wide receivers going vertical down the field. Like Sark knows exactly. This is it though. Like Sark knows what he has in Quinn Ewers. He's letting Quinn be Quinn by giving him game plans tailored around what Quinn does best. I would say don't even sweat it, man. Don't sweat it. They came to Michigan today and mollywopped the Wolverines, and they didn't even need to try that. So, if it gets better throughout the season, awesome. But I don't think it's a big deal right now. They can put 40 up a week without even like having to sweat it. And that includes the deep ball. Like I'm a big love to see the deep ball, but at no point today did I say, Sark, how about you mix in a deep ball today? The whole time I thought Sark is calling maybe the best game of his offensive play calling since he's been at Texas. I thought he was on it today. And part of being on it, he knows his quarterback now frontwards and backwards. The Arch Manning offense is going to look different starting next season. But for right now, he knows what he has. He's not forcing the issue. And I think that's him evolving because I do think Sark, when he first arrived, would have called for more deep balls, problems be damned. He's not doing that. And he hasn't been doing it for a while now. This isn't really a new development. And yeah, I think that's like coaching growth. So it's not a bad thing. Let Quinn just be great.
Over 3,000 of you in the Specs chat. We appreciate that. Anwar, another one of my cousins, has super chatted in. I warned you ahead of time. Super chat $4.99. Chad, understand that you weren't the obnoxious one. That sentiment is diluted. You and Alex are Alex's cousin too, are the gems of OB Live. No cap. Y'all got to help me. I'm an old man. What does no cap mean?
It's like no bullshit.
Okay. No fooling or no kidding or something. Okay. Jamie, thank you for.
Hey, as long as you're watching it, no matter who you think is your favorite, it's all good to me.
Whatever that support is, hopefully, whatever you saw and heard, hopefully you thought it was respectful.
I don't know if you've heard, but we have a new show on Wednesdays just because people don't like me sometimes. So we're trying to take me out and put more likable people in.
South End Zone Queen, $4.99 super chat. I still love you both. Chad and Anwar combo still slaps. Hug it out. XOXO with the kissy face emoji. Thank you, South End Zone Queen. And I love the Anwar combo. I enjoyed the other day. I really did.
I enjoyed every week we do it, Chad.
I did. I mean, it was good.
Every Wednesday. Every Wednesday, me and Chad at noon to 2, we do a show. It's called PC.
We're fighting to get a sponsor for you guys, so just hang tight.
And the whole key, to me at least, the whole key to discussions like that, hopefully I did it on radio, hopefully I'm doing it on YouTube. If you can have a respectful discussion that way, that's all I care about. To me, it was just Anwar did not agree with the way I saw the game. I wasn't necessarily agreeing with the way he saw the game. We hashed it out. Who was right? Anwar.
And guess who's getting a $25 gift certificate from Chad because he lost the bet?
Right. I got to get the man a $25 Specs.
You're going to pay that bet before Alex pays his bet to Jason.
Probably. Yeah.
I mean, mathematically, it can't be worse.
Yeah, I will figure out. I will definitely figure out.
I won 2 bottles. I bet a Michigan fan of $25 as well. I've got $50 in Specs right now just because.
Good week.
Yeah, it's been a great week.
Good week for Anwar. Congratulations, sir. You nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. And Michigan absolutely did what you said they wouldn't do. And Texas did everything you said that they would do. Gerard, $1.99. Chad didn't say anything bad. Let's let it go. Yeah, Gerard, exactly. Tell him. Sure. Fair enough. I did pick Texas to win. Just be sure we understand. I picked them to win by a score. They won by 3.
You know what, Chad? And what this is revealing to me is that there's some people who really like you and really felt like Anwar attacked you and because you're such a likable person and they felt like I was picking on you or maybe bullying you, Chad. Well, Chad, I if that's what happened and that's how it came across, I do apologize. That was not my tone at all, nor was my sentiment.
You know, he must like you, Chad, because now he's just laying it on thick, and that would never happen. That would never happen Like, he might apologize to me. He might say, Catch, I want to give you credit, but he's never laid it on quite that thick. So he must like you.
Well, I mean, because they clearly think of Chad as this kitten who, can that, oh my gosh, like something's bad is happening to our poor cat. And I don't want anybody to be upset about their poor cat.
I think the thing that people need to realize is that Chad did not ask Anwar to do his damn job in the team's chat today. So, like, Anwar loves him because half the staff did. So right now he's like Steve Buscemi in Billy Madison. He's got a list, and Chad's name got scratched off of it today.
Anwar, like I told my therapist, just remember, people have feelings. They have feelings. Anwar. All the string? No? Okay.
Hey, do we only have 2 super chats left?
We have 2 super chats left. We'll get to 2 more super chats, and then we will wrap it up real quick. Speaking of that Specs $25 gift card that I owe Anwar, if somebody owes you a Specs gift card, get over there.
Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
Yep. Anwar is going to be headed over to Specs to see Lisa and the Rabbit on me. $25.
Woohoo.
Dadgummit. All right. One more has just been added. But, yes, we've got a few more super chats to hit. $2. Oh, Catch. Hotter in their prime. We're getting towards the end. Tara Reid or Cameron Diaz?
It's Cameron Diaz by a bazillion. By a bazillion.
Anwar, thoughts?
I'll stay with. Of course, I think he's correct. Cameron Diaz.
I got to tell you what. When these 2 names popped up, there's only one thing I thought of, fellas. In their prime, get those 2 hammered and fighting, and I would love to see that. I would love to see 3 rounds in an octagon with those 2. I think Tara Reid would be just dirty, nasty as a fighter. I think Cameron wins on reach, but I would love to see those 2 just fight.
It's interesting to me that you want to get them both drunk to see them fight each other. It's not quite my playbook, if I'm being completely honest, Chad.
Yeah, no, I don't want rules. I want, because if I get them drunk, I figure there's more open hand slapping. Just
again,
more of that.
Not where I'd be coming from on that one, if I'm being just completely honest.
I know.
And yet here I am. I just want to know, Chad has been revealed. And so for the person that you're defending wants 2 ladies to get drunk and slap each other. But yet I'm the bad person for saying
meow, meow, fight, slap.
Hit her in the face.
Just like a cat, just bipolar. Just want to let you guys know.
First he wants him to fight, then he shows you his belly. What the hell is going on?
It's possible that Chad's seen the naked photos of Tara Reid and knows about the bad boob job and is like, you know what? I'd rather just see him fight than get naked.
I have not seen naked photos of Tara Reid. How dare you? No, I've not seen that. I've not seen that. Look at this. Look at Gerard, $1.99 super chat. He was bullying Chad. Look at the word. Actually, he spelled it wrong. Bullying Chad. He was bullying. Anwar, were you bullying me?
You're gonna clown the guy who's defending you. You're gonna switch everybody back over to my side by the end of the
show. By the end of this thing, what the hell is happening? One other super chat to hit from Longhorn Football Edits. Makuba is legit. His play recognition is so fast. He's been mentioned multiple times today, guys. Each of you give me a thought on number 4. I thought he was awesome.
Oh, chat. Catch, you want to go first?
I can. I thought that's the kind of game that he hasn't been having throughout his career. He was playmaker Andrew Makuba today, as opposed to quality, solid safety. Boy, more of that, and he made himself some money today, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he looked good. to your point, he hadn't been that way, but he's evolving. Looks like he's feeling more comfortable. He's evolving into a playmaker, and he looks good. The DBs look good, and honestly, I got to say something too. Maybe it's a little early. It's a little early. I don't want to jinx it. I'll wait for my apology.
By the way,
but I may have a Terry Joseph apology coming if all goes well and it continues to go well. I just don't want to jinx it yet.
By the way, guys, the biggest hunk of irony that hit me while watching Texas play Michigan today is, wow, that Makuba guy is a guy that Dabo Swinney could really use in the transfer portal. Just went the wrong way. Like it just,
Chad, wrap us up. We've been going for 2.5 hours. We've caught up on super chats. Let's get it over with.
Texas beats Michigan, gets to 2-0, and Myron Charles flips from Florida State to Texas during the postgame. That's how good a day it was for the Texas football program. Thanks to everybody for jumping in. We had damn near 3,000 folks checking us out on the Specs chat, and we appreciate you for that. Thanks, obviously, to Anwar Richardson for joining us live in Ann Arbor at the Big House. He'll be telling you this week about how it was his first trip to the Big House. Catch all the shows, like, subscribe, get your notifications. Texas wins next week, as you've seen on the bottom. Look at that media pass. Look at that beautiful media pass from me.
That'll be on the wall behind. That'll be on the wall behind me at some point next week.
Next week is a 6 o'clock kick with Coach Traylor and UTSA. That means we'll be on about 8:30 or so, something like that. 2-minute warning of the fourth quarter. We will join you for the post-game show. Shout out to the Lowy Law Firm. They bring us the post-game show each and every week. Y'all take care. Enjoy the first week of the NFL. And we'll talk to you next week after Texas faces UTSA. Take care of yourselves. For all these guys you're seeing right here, and Jason Sukumel, who was on with us, I'm Chad.